Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRNradio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRNradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRNradio.
Are you ready to reach for the stars? Tune in to The Lost Wanderer, the #1 monthly podcast on good pods in astronomy. Join our host, Jeff, as he takes you on an interstellar adventure to explore the mysteries of space and the wonders of science. From rocket launches and distant galaxies to the latest discoveries in astronomy, each episode is a thrilling ride through the cosmos. Don't just gaze at the stars. Come explore the universe with us. Follow The Lost Wanderer wherever you get your podcasts, and let's discover the stars together.
My dad was really, really special, and I loved my dad a lot.
I'm proud of him, and that even though he isn't here with us, but he died as a true hero.
I miss everything about him.
In the moment that the officers and I had to come see the children, my biggest reaction was, I don't have 7 arms. I have 7 children who just lost their father, and I don't have 7 arms to wrap around them.
I'm Frank Silla, chairman of the Stephen Silla Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Our foundation is committed to delivering mortgage-free homes for Gold Star families and fallen first responder families.
To not have to worry financially is a huge peace of mind. The thought of, what in the world will I possibly do to pay the bills? How will I possibly let the children have a life that feels normal? I don't want them to have to quit their piano lessons or their basketball. I don't want them to feel that we have to move into a little apartment and struggle financially in addition to the emotional weight.
There are over 1,000 families that need our help. Tunnel to Towers is honoring those heroes that risked their lives by providing them with mortgage-free homes.
Those who serve us and then lay down their lives protecting our freedoms and our safety, the least we can do is $11 a month to give them that peace of always knowing there's a home, there's that sanctuary when life feels like it's been tipped upside down, because it has, when you lose a parent in the line of duty, to know you can go home, you can be safe, there's no risk of losing your home. That's a peace of mind that I can't believe you can get for $11 a month.
I'd like to ask you to contribute $11 a month to support their efforts.
Please donate $11 a month by calling 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our government was established to secure these rights and for the good that comes from exercising them well. This is why the founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire. Hillsdale College, pursuing truth and defending liberty since 1844.
Ready to learn some medieval combat, kiddo?
You bet, Dad. Let's do this.
You know, spending quality time with your kids is important, but finding a fun and safe way to do it can really be a challenge. That's where halberds come in. Halberds are the perfect way to bond with your kid while teaching them about history and physical fitness. Plus, they're a blast to play with. So next time you're looking for some family fun activity, grab a halberd and get ready to make some memories.
Come on, Dad. Round 2.
Halberds, bringing families together one medieval battle at a time. This commercial brought to you by the KLRNradio.com Ad Council.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different,
Pretty sure
and
everybody's
it's
heard of
growing
it by now,
really
JJ.
fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to.
No, it's not.
On
Just
Good
hang on here at
Pods, you
KLR
follow
Radio.
your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the number one way to discover new shows and episodes.
Number 2,
You
maybe.
can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody?
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Otherwise known as Chat Lives Matter Day, right here live on KLRradio.com. It's also a news day from hell. All right, so let's just recap. So we've had the first Doge subcommittee hearing. We carried that in its entirety, so anybody who wants to go check that out later, if you didn't watch it all, first of all, where were you? Because there were a lot of folks hanging out with us watching it, and you missed it, so that's on you. Also, we have, looks like Kennedy's cloture vote is underway. I'm looking to see if I can get an update there. Tulsi was just confirmed, nearly along party lines, 52 to, it looks like, I think it was 52-48. I'm pretty sure I can call this one without a doubt. We see you, Turtle. We see you. I'm pretty sure he was the no vote. Because he doesn't care anymore. He's leaving. Anyway, so we're here, we're live, and it's Wednesday. And good Lord, is there any shortage of things to talk about? So you may have seen Elon Musk and X and Trump chilling in the Oval Office, and it made the left just completely lose their mind. As a matter of fact, one Democrat Congress critter is screaming that Elon Musk wearing his MAGA hat in the Oval Office was a violation of the Hatch Act. Okay, now that I've said it, all of you need to drink too. Just saying. There's going to be lots of drinking for the Democrats, I'm afraid. As a matter of fact, if we want to get really technical, I think most of it has already started. Hey, Andrew, I see you hanging out in the chat. I hadn't had a chance to respond to you yet, but glad to see you, man. I know you've had some man cold things going on, so I'm glad to see you. Denny's supposed to be here somewhere, but I think he's actually trying to pretend he's working today. So, whatever. Whatever, I do what I want. All right, so anyway, let's just kind of start here. This is nuts, okay? I'm just going to say this now. This is nuts. These are things that shouldn't be happening in America, but I'm kind of glad that they are because it's just proving, well, then somebody from the Democrats had to vote for, because there's no way they got to 52 unless only one Democrat voted against. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting updates from the chat that apparently there was more than one Republican that voted against, but that would mean at least one Democrat crossed the aisle if we got to 52. So I don't know. Anyway, I'll see if I can confirm the vote numbers in a second. Once we're done, pardon me, pointing and laughing at crazy leftists, because that's what we do around here. Everybody's like, why do you even give stuff like this attention anymore? Because it deserves it. That's why. But yeah. So anyway, did I grab the right one? Yeah, I did. Okay, sorry. Hang on. I thought I expanded it already though. I think my X is being as slow as I am today, and that's saying something. All right, here we go.
Have you spoken to President Trump about USAID, and what do you think about
the way that actually, this wasn't
dismantled without much notice?
I'm going to pause this real quick.
Well, USAID under scrutiny did poor.
Sorry. This was not the clip I thought it was. I didn't realize it was Lindsey Graham standing. Let me preface this one. First of all, Graham, welcome to the party, pal, before we play the clip. You're late. You're way late because I'm not letting anybody off the hook with this stuff. I'm just not. Because a lot of the Republicans knew too. They didn't know to the extent, but they knew that it existed. And they didn't do anything until Trump made them. So, yeah, you're not getting a pass from me, bro. But I will admit, I'm kind of surprised to hear him say this out loud.
Have you spoken to President Trump about USAID? And what do you think about the way that agency has been dismantled without much notice and ability to plan around the world?
Well, USAID under scrutiny did poorly. I have been a big advocate for soft power. I'm a pretty hawkish guy, but I've been in charge of the 150 account, state foreign ops account, making sure the State Department is funded. To the men and women of the State Department, you're warriors in your own way. You serve in very dangerous places. I want you to have secure embassies and secure consulates. You represent the best of America. USAID is an agency that let us all down. I've been advocating for soft power for my entire time up here. And what I have seen makes me sick to my stomach. I am for helping starving people. I am for clean water. I am for making sure that we have ability to combat China and Africa, that we show up with the best of America. But Samantha Powers has been just texting me morning, noon, and night. Samantha, look in the mirror. The reason USAID is going to cease to exist as it did before is because it should. I can't go home and say, this is soft power. Operas, whatever agenda you got, needs to be focused on making America safer and prosperous for working with people. So USAID is a victim of their own excesses.
And he's not wrong. They are, in fact, a victim of their own excesses and all their own BS. But I'm not letting anybody off the hook. I'm just not. Because the Republicans knew about this. They may not have known to the extent the Democrats had twisted it, but they still knew about some of it. And they didn't do anything until somebody made them. This is why they were fighting so hard to stop him last time. This is why McConnell and Graham and everybody else that were, high up in the Republican Party were like, we're not working with him until he made them start working with him. And then they still fought. He still fought them. They still fought him every step of the way during his first term. This is the stuff that I've been talking about. These people knew exactly what was going on, and now they're trying to play the heroes. No, fuck that. I don't care who this exposes. I don't care whose legacy gets torched. I just want to know where the waste, fraud, and abuse came from, where it started, how it ended. Are we going to finally be able to do something about it? And as long as we have activist judges, then we're never going to be able to do anything about it. Now, the breaks for first hour are going to be a little weird because we got a late start because of the hearings, and I'm still trying to keep up with a bunch of other news stuff. But I did check. We have, and I'm going to put it up on the screen, so hang on. I did check, and it looks like there was only one no vote from Republicans for Gabbard. So it was most likely Turtle. It was basically strictly along party lines. There was 52 Republicans that voted yes. No independents voted yes. 48 Democrats. 48 no votes total, including, hang on, I keep looking at it on the screen. You guys can see instead of my screen, so hang on. That was 45 Democrats and 1 Republican and 2 independents that all voted no. So members did vote along mostly party lines, with all but one Republican, of course, Mitch McConnell called it, of Kentucky, voting yes. So yeah, I knew it was going to happen because McConnell's on his way out the door, and he has no allegiances to anybody anymore, and he doesn't really care. Oh, I know, Jody. Thanks for tuning in, by the way. That's exactly why McConnell is voting with the left now. That's why so many of them, including Romney, were voting with the left before he got ousted, because they knew they were all part of this. This is what I want to know, right? Because I just saw a story that apparently there's a county sheriff in California that's planning on running for governor. If we can nuke all of this USAID back channel Democratic funding, I want to know what happens to California, because I guarantee you that's half of what's been keeping their political ecosystem alive. If we can get rid of all this slush fund crap that they've all had access to, you want to know how it is they've managed to outperform us so many times, and everybody's like, how the hell do they do this? You're finding the answers now because there's a slush fund that they've all had access to. They bring Democratic operatives in, pay them high six-figure salaries, and they give a percentage of the high six-figure salary that we're paying them right back into Democratic operations. This has been a perpetual motion machine for every wet dream the Democrats have ever had. This is why they're screaming and yelling that we're trying to destroy it, because we can't. Because they don't have a message. Have you guys not figured this out yet? They don't have a message. Listen to everything that they said from Doge today. You guys are coming after this. You're coming after that. This is all Elon Musk's fault. And everybody keeps saying the same thing. Hey, why are we not doing anything about the people that have their social security number within the SSA 3 times? Why aren't we doing anything about that? Why are we not putting line item codes in so federal agencies can actually pass audits so we know what the hell's going on with the money? Because they don't want you to. Because I guarantee you, every government agency to a point harbors a slush fund. And only the career operatives know how to get to it. That's why they're freaking out that Donald Trump is like, no, we're getting rid of you guys. I mean, one of the first stories I saw this earlier last week with the Blaze was that they found out what they call the career tab in government applications was actually a thing. It's kind of like when you're tenured in when you're a professor, and Trump's like, no, that's got to go away. But these are the people that they kept telling Donald Trump over and over again during his first term that he could not fire. I'm sorry, as the chief executive of the United States of America, there should be nobody inside the executive branch that is not under his direct purview. That is the antithesis of what the separation of powers was supposed to be about. But you can't talk about that with the left, because as soon as you do, you're a Nazi. You're a racist. You want poor people to die. No, I don't. I want poor people to actually have access to resources that will help them, not hold them under thumb. I've been telling you guys for the longest time, these social safety nets aren't safety nets anymore. They're spider webs. They may have been started with the best of intentions, but once you're on them, they want you stuck on them. That's why they're screaming and yelling about the people that are on Medicaid that have the ability to work should at least work part-time to help fund some of the money that they're, instead of the government having to give all of it to them. And for anybody that's freaking out about that, that doesn't mean that your kids that are on cognitive disabilities, etc., are going to have to face that, most likely. And even if they do, it's going to be a good thing for them, because it's going to make them expand their horizons. We act like hardship is a bad thing. It's not. Surviving hardship is one of the things that makes you a better person. Going through things and figuring out how to come out the other side better and stronger is how we learn. This is why we used to allow our children to make mistakes. Because if we don't, they don't ever learn how to take care of themselves. This is part of what we're now going through with the government, because we have an entire generation that has been raised that government is mommy and daddy. Government knows best. Government's going to take care of you. Except the problem is government can't do that forever. And if you don't believe me, there's already a natural example. How long can you be a parent to a child before at some point you're not there anymore and the child is left on their own? And if you don't prepare them for the time that even if it's somebody that has to have your help, if you don't prepare them for the time that you're not going to be able to be there anymore, or you're not going to be able to do things the way that you've always done them, you're not only doing a disservice to yourself, but you're also doing a disservice to them. This is the wake up call we're facing in America. We cannot be America's babysitters anymore. We can't. No matter how much we might want to be, we can't afford to be. The scary thing is, if not for all the waste, fraud, and abuse, we might have been able to afford to be. One of the things that was glossed over so hard by the Democrats was the people that were testifying to the fact that some of this fraud that's going on in the Social Security Administration is people that have had their information sold on the dark web, and other people are using it to get a hold of their benefits. So what happens if the person that information belongs to actually needs those benefits someday, and they're showing that they're already enrolled? What's going to happen then? Anybody got an answer for that? Just curious. Because I do. They're going to say, I'm sorry, we're showing you're already on this, and we want proof of what you've done with the money now, since apparently you're trying to apply again. And they're going to be like, I never got. Good luck trying to prove that you didn't. This is what I'm talking about. These are the things that have to start being addressed. And these aren't even the craziest of the things. Imagine that the fact that the Department of Defense has not been able to pass an audit in 6 years. And the Democrats just use that as a talking point today as to why Doge is a bad idea. You're telling me that the fact that the agency tasked with keeping us safe and bringing our military up to standards and making sure that we have the best fighting force in the world so that nobody messes with us hasn't been able to pass an audit in at least 6 years, and this is an argument against Doge for you? Have you lost your minds? I'm going to say the answer to this is yes. I do believe that you have, in fact, lost your mind. And it shows everywhere because they're doing all kinds of crazy things now. It's absolutely insane. I saw some things that started coming across the feed yesterday, and it was after I was off the air the first time, and then I didn't do a political show last night. So yeah, we're gonna get into some of that stuff now because I know you guys have heard this, and I apologize to your eardrums in advance, but we have to talk about this.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me, which side are you on? Which side are you on? We'll fight against Doge. We'll fight Elon Musk. No Elon scab within our walls. We'll fight from dawn to dusk. Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me. Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Trump's coming for our unions. He wants us all to fail. He wants us to bow to him, but we want him in jail. Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me, which side are you on? Which side are you on? They say in the capital city there are no neutrals found. You're either with the union or a scabby Musk bloodhound. Oh, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Tell me, which side are you on? Which side are you on? Don't take that government.
Okay, even I can't take it anymore. It was gonna go on for like pardon me, another minute or so. Even I can't take it anymore. Holy crap. So that's not even the cringiest part of yesterday. I don't even know if I have that clip. Hang on, I'm looking. I thought I did, but I may not. Hang on. I could have swore I had that one, but I don't think I did. Oh, wait, hang on. Let's see. So that one's funny. Might play that one in a minute. Oh, I've got a lot here that I didn't realize I had. Hang on. Oh, wait. Yeah. Hang on. This one's short, but it's still something that has to be played. Hang on. All right, should be on the screen with me now, and here we go.
We have to fuck Trump!
No, we don't. Personally, I have no interest in doing that to President Donald Trump, but more power to you, Chica. All right, one more funny thing, and then we probably will go ahead and take the first break. We're coming up on what would have been the half-hour mark, and since we started a little bit late, by the time I play this next clip, it will be pretty close to the actual regular time. But I found this last night. I was dying. All right, hang on. And yes, it's still pertinent to everything that we're talking about today. And this I'm going full screen for, so I'll be back in a second.
Okay, people, we've discovered some incredible abuses of the budget. I mean, really, where are you getting off with these insane expenditures? $10 million spent on body positivity for Haitians in captivity, $8 million on glitter bombs for Saudi Arabian imams, and $9 million on chocolate fondue for East Ukrainian Hebrews.
They have just as much a right to chocolate fondue as anyone, you Nazi!
Well, I'm sorry, but it has to be cut.
No! If you cut $10 million from the CFEUH budget, what's next? Cutting our $3 million budget to give free McFlurries to Pakistani furries?
Well, now that you bring it up...
Oh, come on!
Oh, wow. That's yeah, no, we're definitely cutting that.
This is insanity. You're letting our budget get cut by literal babies!
Because even an infant can balance these books better than you. I mean, come on, people, come on. 50 million taxpayer dollars for Kool-Aid water fountains for North Korean accountants, abortion on demand for pandas in Japan, 1,000 packs of Smarties for Iraqi slumber parties.
If you touch any of the Iraqi slumber party budgets, I will shoot you myself!
I'm sorry, but it has to go.
This is clearly a slippery slope to canceling our program to destigmatize marijuana for Latinx folks in Uganda.
Your budget for that is $9 million, and frankly, I think you can do it for 8.
You genocidal freak!
We also definitely need to cut...
Please not. Saucy male dancers for Australians with colon cancer. No!
Yes, well, while we're at it, we're going to trim teaching Zodiac for a more gender-fluid Iraq, a high-speed train for hermaphrodites in Ukraine, welfare benefits for Aboriginal feminists, and the 12 on sex changes for polar bears. This just says sex changes for polar bears. It doesn't even rhyme.
It didn't need to rhyme! It was in...
The only program left in my department is $12 million to buy IUDs for corgis in Belize!
Yeah, we're going to reduce that. And one more thing. I really think we need to be spending at most half as much as we currently are on easy bake ovens for Saudi Arabian covens.
I don't want to live, I don't want to live, I don't want to live!
Don't do it! You have so much to live for!
Like what?
If it's promoting alternative fuels to Afghani polycules, I have bad news for you. Oh, and lastly, we cut all funding for free handgun ammunition for all USAID positions.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay. Hollow ad take 1.
Stealing is wrong! Get your...
Alright, we're not running their Hollow ad. Anyway, if you haven't checked that group out yet, that's Freedom Tunes. They are pretty damn funny, and I actually enjoy them a lot. Alright, so we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to get things reset again. Last I checked, Kennedy was up for cloture. I'm sure there's probably been a result from there somewhere by now. And I'm going to see if I can find it while we are on the break. Because there's way too much news happening today. I should be used to this by now. I swear to God, I miss 9 o'clock in the morning lids and presidents tucked in by 1 p.m. with tapioca. I really do. Being a news and information guy under the Trump administration is murder. Especially when you're pretty much a one-man outfit most of the time. We'll be right back. Don't look at me that way, Judgy Judgerson. If you're not air guitaring to that part of the song, you're not living life right anyway. And I have nothing else to say to you. We'll be right back.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Celebrity designer Jeff Lewis is back with Hollywood House Lift.
I'm excited to be working with new clients.
I'm not getting rid of that.
I hope I never see you both again.
Yeah. An all-new season.
Those have to go. That has to go.
From oh, wow,
It's been an actual nightmare.
to oh, wow.
This is such an upgrade.
With celebrities like Josh Duhamel, Christina Ricci, and Gina Rodriguez. Dazzle me, Jeff.
It looks like Chuck E. Cheese.
Stream an all-new season of Hollywood House Lift with Jeff Lewis, now streaming on Freevee.
I'm Jordan Klinger, an attorney at McIntyre Law. The decision to hire an attorney after you've been injured is important. The decision on who to hire is even more important. At McIntyre Law, we will settle a case if the offer to our client is fair. Partial justice is no justice at all. At McIntyre Law, we are committed to obtaining full justice for our clients. Contact McIntyre Law at 405-917-5200 or visit us at mcintyrelaw.com.
This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story. After the third time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
I'm on an 80s kick today, so sue me. All right, welcome back into the program. Hour 1 is officially underway. We're going to have to cut this segment short to get us back on the right track because we started a few minutes late, but I tried not to take the first break until we at least sort of kind of broke even. Also, while I was on the break, I did find out it looks like RFK Jr. has, in fact, cleared the cloture hurdle. So now he's about approximately 30 hours away from having a vote. Because the Dems are holding hard and fast all those rules that, the Republicans usually waive all the time when they're not the party in power. And this is one of the reasons why I keep telling the Republicans we got to stop playing by their rules. But yeah, well, you know what I mean. Because we're the nice party all the time. You know what? The party of niceness needs to die. And I say that completely and totally earnestly because they have been kicking our ass for decades. And now we're finally starting to peel back some of the layers to find out how and why they've been kicking our ass for decades. And now we've got people in the media that are still pulling for them because, well, if I don't pull for them, maybe they can get USAID refunded, and then all of a sudden I've got my subscription money back again. This is crap. All of this is crap. It's so stupid that we can't do anything in this country anymore because there's this unelected fourth branch of government that nobody ever wanted to talk about before now. Donald Trump tried to bring it up the first time and everybody tried to stop him. Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. There's no such thing as a deep state. There's no, what is that? We don't even know what that is. You're just a crazy old man who wants to take everything over and remake it in your image. I mean, you want to know how far this is going as far as activist judges? This is from Jeff Charles at the town hall. A judge has actually ordered agencies to restore web pages that were removed after Trump's executive order on gender ideology. So all the stuff that was taken down regarding, transgenderism, etc., the judge is ordering it all be reinstated. You want to tell me again this isn't a bunch of activist bullshit? This is just dumb. All of it is dumb. And then I think one of my favorite things from yesterday, and I have this clip, I'm going to see if I can get it pulled up. Hang on. Was when Elon Musk, of course, again, this was when the left was having a heart attack about all of this. I think I have the audio clip. I'm looking. Hang on. I thought I did anyway. If not, I have another article, but it doesn't have the actual clip. Wait, there we go. No, that's not the one I was looking for, but it's a clip from the same one. So I think I'm going to use this as a kind of a jumping off point because it is a clip from the same meeting. And this was also something I thought was rather funny because, again, I have not heard a single Democrat actually trying to explain why all these things are happening and what they're willing to do to try to fix them. Only that Elon Musk can't do it. But yeah, so here's this.
Now, do you know anyone who's 150? I don't know. Okay. They should be on the Guinness Book of World Records. They're missing out. Now, do you
Okay, I just noticed what they did in the window. That's awesome. But I'm going to play it again in case you missed it because I actually didn't catch it last night when I was watching this the first time.
know anyone who's 150? I don't know. Okay.
Look who's in the window. If I had the editing skills, I would be killing it with these kind of things. But I'm really glad other people do because that's just amazing. All right, but anyway, so this was actually a thing that happened during the press conference yesterday that the left threw a fit about. But Elon Musk was talking about some of the things that they found, like somebody that's been on the Social Security Administration rolls and been and currently, as far as they know, still receiving payments. They're unclear as to whether they've been being cashed or not. But dude's 150 years old. Let that sink in for just a second. Now, I need you to think about this for a second. The average person, no, this is just an average, receives roughly $900 in Social Security payments per month. Assuming the person lived to be 100 years old, you are still talking about $500,000 of waste. And if the checks were never cashed, why are they still being issued? If they were cashed, that's an even bigger problem. But we can't talk about these things because Elon Musk is not the right person to have these conversations. One of the things that I thought was the most telling today was listening to all of these Democrat Congress critters. I'm still in your thing, BZ, in case you're listening, because you're not the first person I've heard called Democrat, but you've made it stick. So all these Democrat Congress critters talking about how terrible it is that Elon Musk is bringing in 23, 24, and 25-year-olds as part of his team. These are the same people that think 4 and 5-year-olds should be able to pick their gender. Can we pick a lane? Can we? Because last I checked, 25 is an adult. 25 is 7 years, I don't know, 7 years past the age of majority. So they're 7 times removed an adult. But y'all want 4-year-olds to be able to decide whether they're boys or girls or not. You don't have a problem with that, but 25-year-olds can't help us clean up the budget mess that y'all have made. And again, I'm not letting anybody off the hook. Again, I don't think the Republicans knew how bad it was, but they knew it was a thing. And they didn't do anything about it because I guarantee you some of them were getting access to the slush fund. We have been sold down the river. And I know that's a hateful term now. I don't care. Come at me, bro. But it's just the truth. All right, let's see what else we can get into real quick. Oh, so this was funny. So apparently the AP is dead naming. This is from our friends at Town Hall. The Associated Press was blocked from Trump's Oval Office event yesterday, and you'll probably never guess why. They were actually kicked out of the so just to read the tweet from Town Hall. The Trump White House kicked out the Associated Press from an event because they're using the outdated term Gulf of Mexico to refer to the Gulf of America. So, and their response was, as a global news organization, the Associated Press informs billions of people around the world every day with factual and nonpartisan journalism. Today, we were informed by the White House that if AP did not align its editorial standards with President Donald Trump's executive order renaming the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America, AP would be barred from accessing an event in the Oval Office this afternoon. AP's reporter was blocked from attending an executive order signing. It is alarming that the Trump administration would punish AP for its independent journalism, limiting our access to the Oval Office based on the content of AP's speech. Not only severely impedes the public's access to independent news, it plainly violates the First Amendment. First of all, the fact that you guys can call yourselves independent news with a straight face is fucking amazing. Second of all, I thought dead naming was bad, y'all. That's your rule, not ours. I actually pointed that out on multiple threads yesterday, and somebody was like, so what? Calling people by their old names is bad now? I'm like, for them it is. I don't give a shit. But for them it should be. They're the ones that have been telling us for forever, stop dead naming trans people. We'll stop dead naming trans gulfs of water. Duh. Jesus. I literally cannot with these people anymore. But yeah, I thought that was probably one of the funniest things of yesterday. I had a couple of tweets about it that I thought were going to go further, and it didn't. So this just happened, and I guarantee you it probably wouldn't have if not for the fact that Donald Trump just sacked the head of the Coast Guard not too long ago. This is again from today, our friend at Town Hall. You may not have heard this yet, but apparently the Coast Guard just intercepted over 100 Haitians headed to the U.S. Dun, dun, dun. An overloaded boat filled with over 100 Haitians was intercepted by the United States Coast Guard and sent back on Monday. The 30-foot boat with 132 Haitians was about 50 miles off the Florida coast between Cuba and Cay Sal Bank. According to a press release from the U.S. Coast Guard, a Customs and Border Protection Air and Marine Operation aircrew based out of Jacksonville and a Coast Guard Air Station Miami HC-144 aircrew notified watchstanders of the boat. Once the Haitians were on the Coast Guard cutter, they were processed and provided food, water, and basic medical attention before they were sent packing back to where they came from. Hang on. This deserves this. And I know some people are going to be mad at me for doing this. I don't really care. I know I'm a heartless bastard. I wear that title with pride and distinction and don't really care anymore. So yeah, that was the other thing. So because I was talking about all of these different things, that were happening yesterday, and the judges coming out against Trump and blah blah blah, yada yada yada. I have realized that I have officially reached the point of no fucks given, because some leftist troll was like, "I can't believe that you spend so much time sucking Donald Trump's dick." I'm like, "What do you expect? It tastes like Cheetos." Instant block, and I don't really care. Because I just don't care anymore. You can't hurt me anymore. You can't make me feel bad anymore. You've done that for forever. And every time you've made us feel bad, every time you've made us second guess things, you have pushed it to even more of an extreme, and we're done. We don't care anymore. You have taken every bit of goodwill that my side of the aisle had and flushed it away. We don't care anymore. And you created this. None of us asked to be this way. We've been warning you about this for forever, especially when it comes to Gen X. We have two settings: apathy and nihilism. You forced us to get away from our apathy and fully embrace our nihilism, because we're looking out for us now, because nobody else is doing it. But while we're also looking out for us now, we're also having the added benefit of being able to look out for our children and our grandchildren, which our government isn't doing anymore. You can't tell me anymore, after everything that they've tried to show us in the last 3 weeks, that our government is not broken. You can try, but I won't believe you. And the thing about it is, what makes it even worse for me is I've known, not to the extent that we are finding out, but I have known that our government was broken for a long time. Now we're finding out that apparently there are hundreds of pages of new information regarding the JFK assassination, including the fact that there's a strong chance there may have actually been a second shooter. Nobody's talking about that in the news because we're too worried about Elon Musk. We're talking about something that happened in the 60s, and we're just now finding out that, once again, conspiracy theorists might have been batting 1,000, and nobody's talking about it. There are hundreds of pages that were just missing, that had been found, that had been re-added into the reports. And there was actually a report that came out from the Senate. I think it was the Senate. I saw an article from somewhere yesterday talking about a senator now confirming that, as near as she can tell from the information that she's looked over, there does in fact appear to have been a second shooter. If this is true, they just turned everything that you and I ever thought we knew on its head. And you still refuse to believe that your government might be lying to you and stealing from you? Would you be interested in a bridge I know about that's for sale in Brooklyn? I'm thinking you might be a perfect fit for it. I'm just saying. So, as of right now, Donald Trump has gotten another U.S. hostage, or another political prisoner from Russia released. There's actually another political prisoner expected to be released at some point today. Talks are underway with Russia and Putin to try to see about ending the Ukraine war. Pete Hegseth is talking to the other side of the table and basically letting them know that NATO membership is off the table, which, I'm sorry, it never should have been on the table. That was one of the things that was promised directly to Russia a long time ago, is that we would not allow anybody directly on their border to enter NATO. Nobody seems to remember that. That's actually part of what triggered it. The other part that triggered it was Joe Biden suddenly making it possible for Russia to make all this money off of oil again. But we can't talk about any of that, because we're not allowed to talk about any of that, because Donald Trump is evil And that should be where our focus is stopping the evil Donald Trump. But one of the things that I have absolutely loved hearing about over and over and over again, ad nauseum, according to the Democrats, is how we are in a severe constitutional crisis and only they can save us. Dude, the Constitution's doing just fine. It's you guys that are having the meltdown. The Constitution does give Congress the power of the purse, but there is some oversight still allowed through the executive branch. One of the judges that's overseeing this stuff just said that today. That the executive branch does have limited power to be able to stop or change funding that's been applied through Congress. Now, my question is, because I get it, Congress has the power of the purse. But at the end of the day, and this is something that I think needs to change, if we get to the point where there is a change of government to the point where the House, the Senate, and the presidency are all held by the same party and it's a different party than it was before on at least two out of those three things, then especially the last minute shit like Joe Biden snuck through, every bit of that should have automatically been put on hold. There should be a law in Congress that says when there is a fundamental shift in who is leading the country, then every bit of last minute spending passed by the previous administration should be held in review until it can be audited by the new Congress. Simple. They'll never go for it, but it's simple. So simple, you wonder why they haven't had it before. Because how much were the Democrats complaining about all the stuff Trump did on the way out the door the last time? So it seems to me this would be something that both sides would actually want, except they really don't, because then the left would have to allow you to have a peek under the hood more often than they like. Because whether you like it or not, ladies and gentlemen, the left is a lot of the problem. Hey, Michael. All right. So anyway, we're going to take a quick break. We are at top of the hour. So we got hour 1 in the books, hour 2 coming at you on the other side of the break, and 1 more hour after that. And then don't forget, I'll be back tonight because I'm insane. Starting at 7 p.m. Eastern with the America Off the Rails show, top 100 conservative podcast nationwide as of 3 weeks ago. Still showing at number 95 last I looked. Then after that, we go straight into Toxic Masculinity, which happens every second Wednesday, right here live on KLRradio.com, with myself, Ordnance Packard, the conservative curmudgeon, usually Andrew, our pole dude, and then Aggie, our bar babe, and occasionally a babe of the month when we can find one that wants to hang out. And then after that, we have whatever with myself and Stacey Lennox. Closing act for us after that will be the Rick and Orty show with myself and the Amish one. After that, we start changing feeds into other stuff. And I don't have time to go into it now because I'm already long on my break. It's been one of those days. Too much news. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRnradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRnRadio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. You can also find us at KLRnRadio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRnRadio.
Are you ready to reach for the stars? Tune in to The Lost Wanderer, the #1 monthly podcast on good pods in astronomy. Join our host, Jeff, as he takes you on an interstellar adventure to explore the mysteries of space and the wonders of science. From rocket launches and distant galaxies to the latest discoveries in astronomy, each episode is a thrilling ride through the cosmos. Don't just gaze at the stars, come explore the universe with us. Follow The Lost Wanderer wherever you get your podcasts, and let's discover the stars together.
My dad was really, really special, and I loved my dad a lot.
I'm proud of him, and that even though he isn't here with us, but he died as a true hero.
I miss everything about him.
In the moment that the officers and I had to come see the children, my biggest reaction was, I don't have 7 arms. I have 7 children who just lost their father, and I don't have 7 arms to wrap around them.
I'm Frank Silla, chairman of the Stephen Silla Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Our foundation is committed to delivering mortgage-free homes for Gold Star families and fallen first responder families.
To not have to worry financially is a huge peace of mind. The thought of, what in the world will I possibly do to pay the bills? How will I possibly let the children have a life that feels normal? I don't want them to have to quit their piano lessons or their basketball. I don't want them to feel that we have to move into a little apartment and struggle financially in addition to the emotional weight.
There are over 1,000 families that need our help. Tunnel to Towers is honoring those heroes that risked their lives by providing them with mortgage-free homes.
Those who serve us and then lay down their lives protecting our freedoms and our safety, the least we can do is $11 a month to give them that peace of always knowing there's a home, there's that sanctuary when life feels like it's been tipped upside down, because it has. When you lose a parent in the line of duty, to know you can go home, you can be safe, there's no risk of losing your home. That's a peace of mind that I can't believe you can get for $11 a month.
I'd like to ask you to contribute $11 a month to support their efforts.
Please donate $11 a month by calling 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our government was established to secure these rights and for the good that comes from exercising them well. This is why the founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding. Because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire. Hillsdale College, pursuing truth and defending liberty since 1844.
Ready to learn some medieval combat, kiddo?
You bet, Dad. Let's do this.
You know, spending quality time with your kids is important, but finding a fun and safe way to do it can really be a challenge. That's where halberds come in. Halberds are the perfect way to bond with your kid while teaching them about history and physical fitness. Plus, they're a blast to play with. So next time you're looking for some family fun activity, grab a halberd and get ready to make some memories.
Come on, Dad. Round 2.
Halberds, bringing families together one medieval battle at a time. This commercial brought to you by the KLRNradio.com Ad Council.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast. There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the number one way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Uh-oh, guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody?
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Otherwise known as Chat Labs Matter Day, right here live on KLRnradio.com. I am Rick Robinson. I'll be your host for the remainder of this 2 out of 3 hours of a show. We're here. We're live. It's Wednesday. It's hump day for those of you that are working for the weekend. You have, if you're on the East Coast, you've just topped the hill and you're headed towards the bottom. If you're in God's time zone, you're just about to round the hill because God's time zone, otherwise known as Central, everybody's going to lunch now. Quick shout out to the Hertz crew. I won't tell them you're listening to me on your lunch break if you don't. Anyway, and then on the left coast, who the hell cares? Why are you still there? And Mountain, especially, nobody cares. Looking at you, Mickey. All right, so let's see. We are waiting on a press conference. So I am going to put this in a side-by-side for a while. So I know what I need to change over. Because we do have, like I said, there's tons of news today. We've already had the Doge hearing covered by our sister network, Digital Beacon US News. We've had Tulsi Gabbard's confirmation. Kennedy's made it through cloture, which everybody thought he wouldn't even be able to get that far. So there's a good chance that he's going to make confirmation, which would surprise a lot of folks. I got to say, Donald Trump seems like he's doing a really good job of keeping people in line this time. I think he learned his lesson from the first time. And look, I know a lot of people are freaked out about Gabbard and freaked out about Kennedy. We can't keep doing the same things and expecting different results. This is why I was kind of okay. This is why I was okay with Hexeth's pick. I'll be honest. I was even okay with I can't even remember his name now. Matt Gaetz. I would have been okay with him because that was who Trump wanted, or at least I thought that's who Trump wanted. I kind of think he had a plan. It looks like this thing's about to be starting soon. So we'll keep an eye on that and then join it as soon as she comes out to the podium. And it looks like it's getting ready. And yeah, this may burn up a little bit of the time, but with everything that's going on, I kind of feel like it's going to be something that we need to be looking at. And, since it is a side-by-side, or occasionally, if I have things to say, I may mute it and speak up. I don't know, but we'll see. But once she comes out, I probably won't keep it side-by-side unless I have something to say. We also have some, for hour 3, we actually do have some This Week in Democracy stuff we haven't played yet, so we may do that as well. I don't know. Anyway, so yeah, it looks like they're still getting things squared away. So let's see what else we can get into while we're waiting. Because, like I said, no shortage of news today. So Trump has just confirmed negotiations are underway to end Russia's war on Ukraine. So that could be new. That could be interesting. This is from Katie Pavlich, Town Hall. President Donald Trump had a lengthy phone call with Russian President Vladimir Putin Wednesday, during which they discussed a number of topics. I just had a lengthy and highly productive phone call with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. We discussed Ukraine, the Middle East, energy, artificial intelligence, the power of the dollar, and various other subjects. We both reflected on the great history of our nations and the fact that we fought so successfully together in World War II. Remembering that Russia lost tens of millions of people, and we likewise lost so many, we each talked about the strengths of our respective nations and the great benefit that we will someday have in working together. But first, as we both agreed, we want to stop the millions of deaths taking place in the war in Ukraine, or in the war between Russia and Ukraine. And Trump posted on True Social. So this is actually President Donald Trump. When I saw, well, actually, I guess this is from him being released earlier. So I don't know. This one kind of seems like it's kind of all over the place, but yeah, it looks like there have been some talks underway to see about finally ending the Russia-Ukraine war, which was one of the things Donald Trump said he was going to do. Now, I'm just going to say this. This is to all the talking heads, even some of the ones on my side. You have to remember, when Donald Trump is negotiating, he's not negotiating with you. Look at everything that he's done. Everything that he's done has started with some completely outlandish idea, and then he's managed to zero in on something that he actually wanted. We're going to get Greenland, but now we're putting, with Denmark's blessing, we're upping our military strength in Greenland, which is a foothold, if nothing else. We're taking back the Panama Canal. Instead, the Panamanian government has ended their agreement with China. We're going to take over Canada. Now we've got Canada putting troops on our northern border, which they told Biden they were going to do, but they never did. We've got Canada buying helicopters from us, which again was something that didn't happen before. We still have to address all these weird trade imbalances with Canada. Why the hell is there like a 400% tariff on American milk in Canada? These are the things that I'm talking about, because one of the arguments that I love the most from the snow Mexicans, as my good friend Amish calls them, is hearing them say, well, if you remove the oil from the equation, then we're actually the ones with the trade imbalance. You can't remove things to make the numbers fit your narrative, bro. It's not how it works. And now we've got a candidate for prime minister in Snow, Mexico, talking about how they're going to target businesses specifically and hurt people that are aligning themselves with Donald Trump with surgical precision, blah, 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 yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. Dude, I don't really think you understand what could happen here. We are the reason that you aren't speaking Russian. I don't think you understand. This is the thing. Most of the world doesn't understand because they've never had to deal with us from a position of y'all have been fucking us over for 50 years and we're tired of your bullshit. This is where we are. This is where all of us live now, especially those of us that have watched all of these wars over and over and over again and all these things that have been fought to stalemates and everything else. We get nothing out of it. We drain our treasury. We drain our blood of our young men and now our young women too, and we get nothing out of it. Nothing. That's not how war used to be. If you were stupid enough to fight a war and you lost everything. Your land, your people, your resources, all of your things belongs to us now. That's how war used to be. And I think the fact that we've tried to make it so civilized is one of the reasons why it's been going on for as long as it's been going on in places like the Ukraine. Because it is a sterilized view for those of us that aren't in the middle of it. We don't have people fighting in the trenches as much as we used to. Now it's all fought at range with weaponry and drones and aircraft and everything else. We don't have as many people fighting in the trenches. If we did, if there were still millions of people that were having to do things like storm beaches in Normandy, we couldn't take it today. We would crumple harder than we would crumple faster than a napkin with a booger in it. All right, it looks like she's coming up to the podium, so I think I'm done riffing for now.
On this very newsy day,
It's
to
muted
say
in
the
more than
least.
one place.
I have a couple of updates for you this morning, or this afternoon. As you know, this morning, the president spoke to President Putin of Russia. They spoke at length, and the president released a statement following that conversation in great detail. I can also confirm that the president just recently got off the phone with President Zelensky of Ukraine. His truth is as follows. I just spoke to President Zelensky of Ukraine. The conversation went very well. He, like President Putin, wants to make peace. We discussed a variety of topics having to do with the war, but mostly the meeting that is being set up on Friday in Munich, where Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio will lead the delegation. I am hopeful that the results of that meeting will be positive. It is time to stop this ridiculous war where there has been massive and totally unnecessary death and destruction. God bless the people of Russia and Ukraine. I myself just spoke to the president about these calls, and he told me to tell all of you they were very good calls, they were very positive, and the administration is wholeheartedly committed to a peace deal to end once and for all the Russia-Ukraine war. More on that later. I'm sure you'll have more questions to ask. This week, the president has continued to deliver on his promises to the American people. According to new polling that was released at the beginning of this week by CBS News, an overwhelming 70% of Americans said that President Trump is following through on what he pledged to do during his historic campaign. The poll also revealed that Americans see President Trump as a tough, energetic, focused, and effective leader fighting hard to improve their lives and our country. And yesterday, in particular, was a truly special day for the United States of America. Thanks to the great leadership of President Trump and the strong and tough leadership of President Trump, Mark Fogel, an American teacher detained by Russia, was returned to American soil and met with the president here at the White House last night. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and the rest of President Trump's incredible national security team helped to negotiate the exchange that secured Mark Fogel's release. This event shows a good faith effort from Russia, and it's a sign, as I just said, that we are moving in the right direction to end this brutal war. Malphine Fogel, Mark's 95-year-old mother, was understandably very worried that she would again after his arrest in 2021. Mrs. Fogel was actually slated to join President Trump on stage at the July 13th Butler, Pennsylvania rally to speak out for Mark. And then the infamous assassination attempt against President Trump took place. But that day, before the rally, President Trump promised Mark's mother that when he returned to the White House, he would bring her son home. God saved President Trump's life on that day in Butler, Pennsylvania, and now Mark Fogel is back home safely with his family as a result. God is good. The president also continues to bring back common sense to our government. This week, he signed an EO to end the procurement and forced use of paper straws. Taxpayer dollars were wasted on these non-functional and massively unpopular products for no other reason than it made radical activists feel good about themselves. And on trade, President Trump continues to take bold action to protect America's critical steel and aluminum industries, much like he did in his first term. And the president signed proclamations to close existing loopholes and exemptions to restore a true 25% tariff on steel and elevate the tariff on aluminum to 25% as well. This administration believes these tariffs will protect our national security and put American workers first. And in the Oval Office yesterday with Elon Musk, President Trump took further action to make our federal government more efficient and effective. He signed an EO implementing the DOGE Workforce Optimization Initiative. Now agency heads will coordinate and consult with DOGE to significantly shrink the size of the federal workforce and limit hiring to essential positions only. The unaccountable bureaucracy will finally be reined in. On another important matter this morning, Senate Republicans continued to confirm President Trump's exceptionally qualified nominees, most recently Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, who will be joining us later at the White House for her swearing-in ceremony. It's imperative that the remainder of the president's cabinet nominees are confirmed as quickly as possible. On another important matter this week, illegal alien criminals continue to be arrested and sent home as part of the ongoing mass deportation effort of the Trump administration. Just this week, 2 planes with 190 Venezuelan illegal aliens arrived in the Venezuelan capital from Fort Bliss, Texas. Here are some of the criminal illegal aliens who were arrested in the country this past week. ICE Atlanta arrested a citizen of Nigeria who had been convicted of money laundering. ICE San Antonio arrested a citizen of Mexico who had been convicted of assault. ICE Denver arrested a citizen of Mexico who had been convicted of aggravated assault. And ICE Houston arrested a citizen of Mexico who had been convicted of aggravated assault. Now, before I take questions, I would like to address an extremely dishonest narrative that we've seen emerging over the past few days. Many outlets in this room have been fear-mongering the American people into believing there is a constitutional crisis taking place here at the White House. I've been hearing those words a lot lately. But in fact, the real constitutional crisis is taking place within our judicial branch, where district court judges in liberal districts across the country are abusing their power to unilaterally block President Trump's basic executive authority. We believe these judges are acting as judicial activists rather than honest arbiters of the law. And they have issued at least 12 injunctions against this administration in the past 14 days, often without citing any evidence or grounds for their lawsuits. This is part of a larger concerted effort by Democrat activists and nothing more than the continuation of the weaponization of justice against President Trump. Quick news flash to these liberal judges who are supporting their obstructionist efforts: 77 million Americans voted to elect this president. And each injunction is an abuse of the rule of law and an attempt to thwart the will of the people. As the president clearly stated in the Oval Office yesterday, we will comply with the law in the courts, but we will also continue to seek every legal remedy to ultimately overturn these radical injunctions and ensure President Trump's policies can be enacted. So here in our new media seat today, we have Chris Pavlovsky, an entrepreneur who has a strong passion for protecting freedom of speech. Chris started the video sharing platform Rumble in 2013 with a mission of protecting a free and open internet from censorship by big tech and governments around the globe. The platform has always been a place for independent creators to share their authentic opinions, and they have always included President Trump, in contrast to the way he was censored by other platforms in years past. Since its founding, Rumble has grown exponentially, recently marking 67 million monthly active users. It's a lot of users. If you're watching right now and interested in sitting in this seat, you can apply, whitehouse.gov/new-media. With that, I will take your questions. And Chris, why don't you kick us off on this very busy news day?
Carolyn, thank you very much.
Do you guys send emails back to at least confirm that you've received the information? Because I've requested like twice now. I know, he can't hear me, but still.
Why freedom of expression is so important. Rumble was the victim of censorship at the hands of multiple foreign governments. It's clear there are still many countries who oppose free speech and even target American companies. Can you describe what the administration will do to protect U.S. interests and values worldwide?
Sure. Well, thanks for the very important question. And I think that free speech and ending censorship, both here at home and also abroad, is an important part of President Trump's agenda. I think first, President Trump has led by example on this front as the leader of the free world, the president of the United States, with his show of access and transparency on a daily basis. The president takes questions from all of you almost every single day and really reveals what he's thinking and feeling, and I think that serves as a great example to the rest of the world. As for tangible actions that the president has signed, he did sign an executive order, I believe on day one, certainly within the first week of this administration, to restore free speech and stop government-sponsored censorship here at home. And the EO made it very clear that federal employees are not allowed to engage in any activity that would infringe upon the American people's right of free expression. So I think the president has led quite strongly on this. And I would just add, this is part of the reason we have a new media seat, to invite new voices into this room. Again, we're going to need to expand this room because so many people are interested, and we're very excited about that. It's a privilege to cover this White House, but we want all voices to be heard. So thanks for being us with here, Chris, and I hope you enjoy the briefing. Sure. Jordan.
Thanks, Caroline. Data out this morning showed that consumer prices were up across a variety of goods, and just before that report, though, President Trump called for...
In case you're wondering, the reason that room is so tiny is that used to be the presidential swimming.
So how would lowering
It's
rates
tiny.
help keep inflation in check for the American people?
Sure. Well, first of all, on the inflation point, we did receive those numbers, and they were worse than expected, which tells us that the Biden administration indeed left us with a mess to deal with. It's far worse than I think anybody anticipated, because unfortunately the previous administration was not transparent in where the economy truly was. We know people at this very podium told the American people that inflation was transitory and that it would go away. That was not the case. And now the last report of the Biden administration, as revealed today, shows that inflation is still about 4.5% higher over the past 3 months. This is an indictment on the Biden administration's mismanagement of the inflation crisis and their lack of transparency in addressing it. As for tackling inflation and interest rates, the president has made his position on this very clear. He wants interest rates to be lower, he wants inflation to be lower, and he believes that the whole of government economic approach that this administration is taking will result in lower inflation. I have said that from this podium many times. The president had record low interest rates and inflation rates in his first term. He believes that the economy can handle it and withstand it. And we're doing a lot to tackle the inflation effort on this front. It's a whole of government economic approach, and I've talked about what we're doing to tackle inflation quite a few times from this podium.
What about the reciprocal tariffs? That's going to come before Prime Minister Modi's visit tomorrow.
I do believe it will come before the Prime Minister's visit tomorrow, and I will let the President discuss the details on the reciprocal tariff front. But this is something he believes strongly in, and it's very simple logic as to why the President wants to impose reciprocal tariffs. It's the golden rule, which we all learned when we were growing up in school. Treat others the way you want to be treated, and far too many nations around this world have been ripping off the United States of America for far too long, and that's why the President believes this will be a great policy that will benefit American workers and improve our national security. JJ.
On Doge and the fraud claims, Elon Musk in the Oval yesterday gave us some information on that. We're just wondering if there's some proof, evidence. Is the White House willing to share evidence of those fraud claims, or can Elon Musk come to the briefing room and share material evidence of what he's talking about?
Sure, I would love for Elon Musk to come to the briefing room. That's why we had him go to the Oval Office yesterday, where I think he provided great answers. He was speaking in layman's terms, speaking common sense to all of you in the media, but also to Americans at home. But I would say especially to all of you in the media, because I think it's a real fallacy that there's this alleged lack of transparency when it comes to Doge. President Trump and Elon Musk have been incredibly transparent on what Doge is doing. There is an X account with the Doge handle. They are tweeting out what they are doing on a daily basis. They have a website where they are posting the receipts of the contracts that they are reviewing and the payments that they have stopped from going out the door. The secretaries of our departments have stopped from going out the door. And I would also say that before it was Elon Musk making our government efficient and accountable, it was some unnamed bureaucrat that none of you knew. Elon Musk is the richest man in the world. He's also now one of the most highly scrutinized men in the world alongside President Trump because of what he's doing and the access that he is allowing. So there's great transparency. As for the actual receipts, we are happy to provide them, and I actually brought some today because all of you know I love to bring the receipts. We have contracts upon contracts that we can send and provide this information to you. Let me be very clear. We are not trying to hide anything. We have been incredibly transparent, and we will continue to be. These are screenshots of contracts that Doge found across our government. This is a DEI contract, $36,000 for U.S. citizenship and immigration services. That is against the president's policies and his America First agenda. This is a $3.4 million contract, a Council for Inclusive Innovation at the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office, Department of Commerce, another DEI contract that Doge identified. I can continue to go through these. Oh, I love this one, $57,000 for climate change in Sri Lanka. What is this doing to continue the interests of the American people? Absolutely nothing. These are the line items across the federal government that Doge is identifying daily. They're moving very...
All right, I'm going to bring her voice back up in a second, but I have to point this out. Can you imagine if we were spending $57,000 on climate change here? The left would be having a cow. So what the hell is the point? One, it's like spending $50 on something in reality, and two, what the fuck do we care about climate change in Sri Lanka for?
In the Oval Office yesterday, a lot of Americans didn't. So we are providing transparency and accessibility on a daily basis when it comes to Doge. And I also have a Doge daily report, if anybody would like it, on all of the things that they are identifying and finding. We're happy to provide this information to you. We're talking about it every single day.
Are all those things you just mentioned fraud, or are they waste, or are they just contrary to the president's policies?
I would argue that all of these things are fraudulent, they are wasteful, and they are an abuse of the American taxpayer's dollar. This is not what the government should be spending money on. It's contrary to the president's priorities and agenda. And again, we can continue to provide you the receipts for all of the fraud, waste, and abuse. And if anybody in here wants to argue that the federal government is not fraudulent in some capacity, be my guest, because I think the American people watching at home would beg to differ.
Caroline?
Mary.
Hey, more on the judges. Does the White House believe the courts have the authority to issue these nationwide injunctions?
We believe that the injunctions that have been issued by these judges have no basis in the law and have no grounds, and we will, again, as the president said very clearly yesterday, comply with these orders, but it is the administration's position that we will also ultimately be vindicated, and the president's executive actions that he took were completely within the law, they were constitutional, and we look forward to the day where he implement his agenda. And I would just add, it's our view that this is the continuation of the weaponization of justice that we have seen against President Trump. He fought it for 2 years on the campaign trail. It won't stop him now. Brian.
Yes. I want to go back to DOGE just for a second. Earlier, the subcommittee headed by Chairman Marcia Taylor Greene, her and her staff discovered $2.7 trillion in improper payments to Medicare, Medicaid, overseas, to people who should not have gotten it. Some in this room might have missed that press conference. Can you elaborate on what the president is thinking at this point?
Well, again, that's another example. There's a very long list of the fraud, waste, and abuse that DOGE is identifying on a daily basis. Elon Musk also talked about yesterday about Social Security payments that are going out the door for people who are no longer with us, unfortunately. I would say that is certainly fraud. There's also a lot of contracts they've identified that, just as a hypothetical example, are $1 million, but only 500,000 went out the door. So where's the rest of that cash? And so that's the thing. Those are the things that DOGE is working on every single day. And I would just remind everybody in this room, this is what President Trump campaigned on doing. He's delivering on a promise that 77 million people elected him to do. James.
Thank you very much, Caroline. Two foreign policy questions, if I may.
Sure.
First, the statement that was released after this morning's phone calls identified Mr. Witkoff as the special envoy who will be part of the delegation that undertakes to resolve the Russia-Ukraine war. I had thought that that individual was General Kellogg, and so can you clear that up?
Sure, I'd be happy to. As you mentioned, the president, in his truth, following the phone call with Vladimir Putin, said that he has asked Secretary of State Rubio, the director of the CIA, John Ratcliffe, our national security advisor here at the White House, Michael Watts, and Steve Witkoff to lead the negotiations. As for General Keith Kellogg, he remains a critical part of this team in this effort. He's played a tremendous role in getting the negotiations to this point, and he's very much still part of the Trump administration.
The other subject is Iran. I took note of President Trump's comments in his Super Bowl interview with our colleague Brett Baer to the effect that he wants to do a deal with Iran. However, that interview appeared after the supreme leader of Iran, the Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, had already ruled out any additional negotiations with the United States. So kind of a two-part question. A, what gives the president any confidence that Iran will come to the table? And B, more fundamentally, why is the president interested in doing a deal with Iran instead of doing everything he can, perhaps short of U.S. military intervention, to try and hasten the end of what many of his own supporters regard as an evil regime?
Well, the president has made it very clear that he will never allow Iran to have nuclear capabilities. That is a red line that he has drawn, and he will not allow that to happen. But you asked why President Trump wants to make a deal. I would remind you, he's the master of the art of the deal. He is America's deal maker in chief. He leads from a position of securing peace through strength. And I think time and time again already, in just 4 weeks, we have seen the president being able to negotiate successful deals with our partners, our adversaries all around this world. You know, the release of Mark Fogel just last night is something that I think speaks to the president's deal-making ability. This is something that the Biden administration allegedly tried to do for 3.5 years. I think you all should go back and ask some of those Biden administration officials what they even tried to do and why weren't they successful, because for 3.5 years Mark Fogel sat in a Russian prison and it took President Trump 3 weeks to get him back on American soil. There's nobody better at making deals than Donald Trump. Phil Wegman.
Thank you. Two foreign policy questions. You
Ukrainian President Zelensky has said after the war that he wants NATO membership or nuclear weapons. We heard Defense Secretary Hegseth say that NATO membership was unrealistic. What's the president's view on the other option, on a nuclear Ukraine?
I have not talked to President Trump about Ukraine's NATO membership or their nuclear capabilities. I would leave it to him to discuss. But I will tell you again that Secretary Rubio and also the Vice President, J.D. Vance, will be meeting directly with President Zelensky in Munich on Friday, and I'm sure they will provide a readout of that conversation and that discussion.
And then the second question, given that this administration has called on Europe to take more responsibility for their own defense, I'm wondering, will the EU or any other European nation other than Ukraine be involved in these peace talks?
I don't have any European nations who are involved currently to read out for you. Certainly, the president has employed a very strong team or deployed a very strong team to continue these negotiations. And the fact that he was on the phone with both President Putin and President Zelensky today shows that he's very much involved in this effort as well.
And then just a follow-up, I guess.
Sure.
Should we expect the president to negotiate in person with Zelensky and Putin?
I don't have anything to read out on that for you today. Maggie, good to see you.
Thanks for taking the question. You talked about the transparency with Doge and Elon Musk's press availability yesterday. There is a conflict of interest law in place that says that people who have personal interests can't interact with government entities that could touch on those. Has President Trump signed a waiver for Elon Musk? Does such a thing exist? If it does, will you guys release it in the interest of transparency that he's committed to?
I have not seen the law that you are referring to. What I can tell you is that Elon Musk, as I've confirmed before, is a special government employee. He is filing the proper financial disclosure, and he is complying with all applicable federal laws. As you also heard, Elon address this directly yesterday in the alleged conflict of interest, and he said everything he's doing is very public, and if you all perceive a conflict of interest, you're welcome to bring that up. And as the president said, if he feels like Elon is engaging in something that's a conflict of interest, he will tell Elon not to do that. And Elon also said yesterday that before he moves forward with anything, he consults with the President of the United States. So we're very confident with the ethics and the guardrails that have been put in place here. Caitlin.
Thanks, Caroline. I have a few things for you, but on the commitment by President Trump, he said that he and President Putin agreed to visit each other's respective nations. Are there any preconditions that President Trump has that President Putin must do before he goes and meets with him, withdrawing some forces, withdrawing all forces, anything like that?
Not that I'm aware of. That doesn't mean they don't exist, but I was just talking with the president in our national security team. I wasn't made aware of any conditions, but if they exist, I'm happy to provide those.
And on the president himself, he styles himself as this master negotiator. He is now deploying these negotiations, saying that they start immediately. We did hear from the Defense Secretary, Pete Hegseth, though, today saying that NATO membership is not realistic for Ukraine and neither is returning to pre-2014 borders. Aren't they giving away bargaining chips before these negotiations have even started?
Again, I haven't talked to the president about Ukraine's NATO membership, and he appointed several individuals to negotiate on his behalf. He's directly involved in these negotiations as well, and I'm sure if you ask him that question in the near future, when you're able to, he'll give you an answer. I just don't want to get ahead of him on it.
And final thing for you, which White House official made the decision to bar the AP reporter from the Oval Office and the diplomatic reception room last night?
Well, first of all, let me just set the record straight. It is a privilege to cover this White House. It's a privilege to be the White House press secretary. And nobody has the right to go into the Oval Office and ask the President of the United States questions. That's an invitation that is given. And there are hundreds of outlets on this campus, many of you in this room who don't have the privilege of being part of that pool every single day and getting to ask the President questions. We reserve the right to decide who gets to go into the Oval Office, and you all have credentials to be here, including the Associated Press, who is in this briefing room today.
But isn't it retaliatory in nature is the argument, because there's a reason that the AP was barred, which they said was because they're not using the phrase Gulf of America, they're using Gulf of Mexico in line with their standards. And so the question here is this setting a precedent that this White House will retaliate against reporters who don't use the language that you guys believe reporters should use? And how does that align with the First Amendment commitment that you were just talking about?
I was very upfront in my briefing on day one that if we feel that there are lies being pushed by outlets in this room, we are going to hold those lies accountable. And it is a fact that the body of water off the coast of Louisiana is called the Gulf of America. And I'm not sure why news outlets don't want to call it that, but that is what it is. The Secretary of Interior has made that the official designation in the geographical identification name server. And Apple has recognized that, Google has recognized that, pretty much every other outlet in this room has recognized that body of water as the Gulf of America, and it's very important to this administration that we get that right, not just for people here at home, but also for the rest of the world. Sure.
Thank you, Caroline. The prisoner exchange with Russia coming at the same time as the president is now announcing negotiations to end the war in Ukraine. The timing of that is hard to ignore. Was Ukraine discussed as part of this prisoner swap?
I was not involved in those discussions, so I can't comment on whether that came up or not. What I can say is that this was a very good deal for the United States of America and for the rest of the world. As you know, we have confirmed that the Russian who will be returning home very soon, Alexander Vinnik, was a non-violent crypto criminal, and as part of this exchange, he has forfeited more than $100 million that he obtained in that illegal crime. And in exchange, of course, we got Mark Fogel, who is a middle school teacher who kissed the American soil, but kissed the ground last night when he returned to the United States of America. It was a great deal and a great day for our country, and I think everybody, regardless of political affiliation, agrees with that.
And was Russia made aware ahead of time of the parameters that the administration and Secretary Hegseth was going to be announcing today?
The NATO perimeters? Yes. I'm not sure. You'd have to ask Secretary Hegseth in the Defense Department on that, since he announced them. Jackie.
Thank you, Caroline. Just to be clear, so when we're listening for a shift in position on U.S. policy, should we only listen to the president and maybe not the Secretary of Defense? Because what he outlined today would represent a shift in U.S. policy.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I speak for the President of the United States behind this podium, and I will let him discuss that.
Can you tell us any more about the next hostage releases? I understand another American's coming out today.
Sure. I'm glad you asked. It speaks to President Trump's deal-making ability, and we can confirm the safe release of one American and two individuals from Belarus, one of whom worked for Radio Liberty. Out of respect for the privacy of these individuals, their request, we have no affinities, but we can confirm that one American was released today, and it's a remarkable victory on the heels of Mark Fogel returning to America last night.
Anything on who the U.S. might be releasing in exchange?
I don't have details on that at this moment. I don't have details on that at this moment. I do know that these three individuals have been released and are on their way home to their respective countries.
Caroline, thank you so much. Can you explain how President Trump envisions the war in Russia and Ukraine coming to an end? Does he expect Ukraine to hand over all the territory in question?
Again, these negotiations are ongoing. I will allow the president to divulge any red lines that he may set, but I think as deals in the past have come to fruition, the president has proven one of the things that makes him a very effective negotiator is not revealing what he's anticipating from both sides, but he is at the forefront of these negotiations in addition to the very qualified individuals who he's tasked with speaking to both President Putin and President Zelensky.
And speaking of deals, a meeting with the President of the United States offers any foreign leader credibility. Was it part of the prisoner swap with Fogel that President Trump agreed to meet with Putin?
Again, I was already asked this question. I said I was not made aware of that, but we can certainly get you an answer on that. I'll check in with the NSC. Sure, Monica.
Thanks, Caroline. It's clear that this administration is dedicated to both truth and transparency. We know that with DOJ, but we also know that because this administration recently announced it's going to declassify the assassinations of Martin Luther King Jr., JFK, and RFK. I'm wondering, is it likely that we're going to see more information regarding the assassination attempts on the president's life while he was on the campaign trail?
In regards to the assassination of the individuals you mentioned, President Trump signed
Yeah, we need to make that
executive
happen.
order
I'm just saying, I actually agree with the
respective
reporter here.
agencies to do it.
I want to know more about the
that
kid.
process continues and is ongoing. He's committed to transparency and the declassification of these very important files that I think many Americans are not only interested in learning about, but also have the right to know about. As for the two heinous assassination attempts on the president's life, He's spoken to this publicly. I've spoken to him about it privately, and as he said publicly to all of you, he feels he has a right to know about further information about the individuals who tried to kill him, tried to take his life. And so, if and when we get that information, I'll leave it up to the president to decide whether or not he would like to reveal it. But I believe in the effort of transparency that we've seen consistently from this president, he certainly will. Daniel.
Thanks, Caroline. I wanted to ask you about the $59 million that FEMA sent to New York City migrant hotels. Secretary Kristi Noem just put out a statement saying that she clawed back the full payment that FEMA activists unilaterally gave to NYC migrant hotels. She wrote, "Mark my words, there will not be a single penny spent that goes against the interest and safety of the American people." What does the response of the Trump administration send to any federal bureaucrats that are thinking about obstructing the president's agenda?
They will be held accountable. The president is signing executive orders daily, and he expects all officials across the administration, regardless if they are a political appointee or if they are a career bureaucrat, to adhere to the will of the American people and the 77 million Americans who reelected President Trump. He is here for a reason, and he is focused every day on implementing his administration's goals and sending $59 million to a migrant hotel to house illegal immigrants when there are still people in North Carolina and California who have not received FEMA funding is not something that this administration is going to tolerate. Deanna.
Thank you so much, Caroline. One on New York and one on Russia, please. On New York City Comptroller Brad Lander is accusing DOJ of clawing back $80 million that was intended for New York City FEMA funding. Wondering if you've heard about that figure, if that figure is accurate, and why that money was taken back.
I have not heard about that figure. DOJ is moving very quickly, but I can get the receipts and gladly send them to you. I know that story is likely of great interest to the New York Post.
And then one on
John.
Russia, please.
Sure.
Is President Trump waiting for a kind of signal or an action from Putin to go to Russia? And would he be willing to go to Ukraine in the future?
I don't have any decisions to make on the president's potential visit to Russia or any in-person meeting at this time. John.
Caroline, two questions, one on foreign policy, one on domestic policy. Following up on the president's call that he had with President Putin, does the president view Russia, does he view President Putin as an ally, as a partner, as a competitor, or as an adversary?
I believe this nation views Putin and Russia as a great competitor in the region, at times an adversary, but as the president has said as well, he enjoys having good diplomatic relationships with leaders around the world, finding that common ground, also calling them out when they are wrong, and leading from a position of peace through strength. That's the president's greatest strength, and we've seen that again, time and time again.
And then as you pointed out in your statement regarding the confirmation of Tulsi Gabbard, there was one Republican who voted against the nomination of Tulsi Gabbard. It was Senator Mitch McConnell. Similarly, how does the administration view Senator McConnell? Can he be a partner in the president's legislative agenda? Are you disappointed that he voted against not only Tulsi Gabbard, but also Pete Hegseth to be the defense secretary?
I think we're greatly disappointed in any Republican who chooses willfully to vote against the president's exceptionally qualified cabinet nominees and picks to lead his America First administration. Not a single Democrat swayed from voting against President Biden's nominees, and we know how many of them turned out. They turned out to be atrocious at their jobs, leaving America much worse than they were when they took the oath of office. And so I've said it repeatedly from this podium. I addressed it at the beginning of my remarks. We expect all Republicans to vote, to stay tough and strong, vote for President Trump's nominees so we can get to work and continue to work very hard to implement this president's agenda. Sure.
Thank you, Caroline. On South Korea is currently in a chaotic situation. How does the President Trump react to the current chaotic situation in South Korea? Secondly, if South Korea needs help from United States, what role do you think the U.S. will play?
Sure. I haven't spoken to the president about the ongoing situation in South Korea. I would defer you to his previous statements. And I can also see if I can get you something new from the National Security Council, who I'm very confident the officials that are focused on South Korea are on this.
Caroline, does Elon Musk have power of the presidency?
Absolutely not.
Right.
That's
I
a
asked that
ridiculous question.
I asked that question because, the Democrats have been hurling insults at Elon Musk, hurling attacks, calling him President Musk. Most recently, Jamie Raskin, the congressman, took it a step further, calling for Musk's impeachment, saying that he somehow usurped the power of the presidency. What's your response?
It's utterly ridiculous. Elon Musk addressed this in the Oval Office yesterday. The president addressed it as well. Elon Musk is serving at the pleasure of the president, just like everybody else on this team. He takes directives directly from the president of the United States. And I think some of the comments that you referred to are nothing more than a failed attempt from the media and from Democrats to try to sow division in this White House. We saw them do it in the first term. We're not going to let them do it in the second term. This is a unified team who is working at the pleasure of the president to do what's right for the American people. I have one more quick housekeeping note before I leave you all today. The president wanted me to share with all of you that he had a wonderful meeting with King Abdullah of Jordan yesterday. They discussed many things, including the Gaza Strip and its future at great length. The king would much prefer that the Palestinians stay in place, with the additional land to be used for new development, which would greatly create jobs at levels never seen before. But the president feels it would be much better and more majestic if these Palestinians could be moved to safer areas. I would just add to that the president remains wholeheartedly committed to seeing peace in the Middle East, and our Arab partners in the region have been tasked with coming up with a peace plan to present to the president. That is ongoing. King Abdullah mentioned that yesterday. He also committed to accepting 2,000 sick children from the Gaza Strip, which the president called a beautiful gesture. So the administration continues to work with our Arab partners in the region. We stand closely with our ally Israel, and the president has presented this big, new, bold idea to secure peace in the Middle East, and he is not going to waver from that. And we look forward to seeing that goal of this administration achieved as well. Thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you very soon. Have a great day.
Thank you.
All right, so there you had Press Secretary Carolyn Levitt bringing the heat like she always does, and not just because she's hot. I gotta say, she is a damn sight more of an improvement than at least Corinne Jean-Air. I have to admit, Circleback Saki, I kind of have a thing for redheads. Even though for most of the redheads that I know, they're kind of witches. That seems to be a feature, not a bug. Anyway. Well, I mean, to be fair, Raptor, it's standing room only because that's where the White House pool used to be. So it's not a very big room. The joke is they call it the press pool room for a reason, because it used to be where the swimming pool was, and it's not a very big room. That's one of the reasons why she keeps joking that they're going to have to expand it. Because I'm pretty sure everybody with the podcast has been like, we want to come in there at least once. I know we tried. I haven't heard anything. We were supposed to be going to CPAC, but I don't think we're going. In between all the plane crashes and the flu that's going around, I don't think I'm going to make it this year. I was really excited because for the first time in a while, I was like, I can actually go. And then it's like plane crashes, flu outbreak, bad weather. Yeah, I don't know. Unless there's some sort of a drastic change in the next few days, it just ain't happening. So I'm fixing to email them and just apologize and be like, we will gladly come back next year, but not today. So again, just reiterating for our folks at the Associated Press, it is not a constitutional crisis when you are disinvited from the Oval Office, especially when it's for something stupid like dead naming the Gulf of America. Just throwing that out there. So, in case you were wondering, Amazon really did have everything in the bag for Kami Lama Hamasnik. So, this is from our friends at Red State, and then we'll get ready to take the break. Amazon's new movie G20 shows they really thought Kami Lama Hamasnik was going to win. Entertainment companies never cease to amaze me, and Amazon is one of them. Their upcoming action thriller G20 just dropped its trailer, and despite all the seriousness of the tone, the one-liners and fight choreography, I can't help but see it as a comedy. So just for fun, let's watch the trailer together so we can laugh. 1 second, let me get it queued up for you guys here. Yeah, but the egg shortage is not a surprise. The Biden administration killed 1 million birds, and now all the Democrats are like, why are egg prices so high? I talked about this yesterday. Joe Biden's been knocking off chickens like they had a bounty per beak or something. And then everybody's wondering why inflation and everything else is going up.
Madam President, we have a situation. Ma'am, apprehension is minutes away.
A little much, don't you think, Mom?
Zip it. You and your brother are coming to Cape Town with us.
Why?
You know why.
All you ever care about is work.
I implore all world leaders to join me at the G20 summit.
Come on, Madam President.
Oh, damn. Now I gotta go save the world.
The 20 most powerful world leaders together. Going dark in 3, 2, 1. To the governments watching, I've taken the G20 by force. When we launch Project Deepfake, we will reset the world's financial markets. You gotta read the words exactly as written. Quick beige fox. Quick beige fox. Quick beige fox. Now we control the narrative.
My husband and kids are missing. We have to find them. If you want to live, you'll follow my lead.
Now you're Captain America. That was quite, well done.
They've got at least 5 hostages in the kitchen.
Your survival is what matters most.
I will not leave them.
Drop it!
Guns, 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 guns.
President Danielle Sutton. You get around, don't you?
I'll get around to you, too.
Mom, I can help.
Lights up.
Find her.
Where are my husband and kids?
We're all here together.
I'm gonna get you out of here.
What if we get you into a comfortable pair of heels, hmm?
Do you want an honest answer?
Oh, good Lord. Okay. So I actually like Viola Davis, so I still might try to watch this, but that was a little much. I'm not going as far as my compatriots at Town Hall just did. I don't think it's necessarily as much to do with Kamila Hamasnik because hubby wasn't a Jew. I'm just being honest. I think they really wanted the first female black president and they thought it was going to happen, but I don't think the character was patterned after her specifically. So I can kind of see where they're coming from, but at the same time, I just think it's funny that, you know, all of a sudden the president's like Wilhelmina badass. I don't know, I got nothing. Dude, yeah, you're right. And the sad thing is I actually like Viola Davis. She's been in a couple of movies that were decent. So yeah, I may, like I said, I may try to give it a listen or a watch. I might. I don't know for how long though. All right, believe it or not, folks, we are already through hour 2. I don't know where the time goes. Doesn't help that there's all this breaking news all the time in the middle of my show anymore. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Everybody, come take my hand, come take my hand. We'll walk this road together through the storm, whatever weather, cold or warm. Just let me know that you're not alone, not afraid. I'm not afraid to take a stand, take a stand.
Hello, friends. Do you have a moment so that we may discuss our Lord and Savior Minarchy? No, seriously, I'm just kidding. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I am the general manager of KLRNradio.com. We are probably the largest independent podcast network that you've never heard of. We have a little bit of everything, and by that, what I mean to tell you is we have news, pop culture, special events, conspiratainment, true crime, mental health shows, drama productions, and pretty much everything in between. So if you're looking for a new podcast home to grab a little bit of everything that you love all in one place, come check us out. You can find us on X under @KLRN Radio. You can find us on our Rumble and our YouTube channels under the same names. can also find us at klrnradio.com and pretty much every podcast catcher known to man. So again, feel free to come check us out anytime you like at KLRN Radio.
Are you ready to reach for the stars? Tune in to The Lost Wanderer, the #1 monthly podcast on good pods in astronomy. Join our host, Jeff, as he takes you on an interstellar adventure to explore the mysteries of space and the wonders of science. From rocket launches and distant galaxies to the latest discoveries in astronomy, each episode is a thrilling ride through the cosmos. Don't just gaze at the stars, come explore the universe with us. Follow The Lost Wanderer wherever you get your podcasts, and let's discover the stars together.
My dad was really, really special, and I loved my dad a lot.
I'm proud of him, and that even though he isn't here with us, but he died as a true hero. I miss everything about him.
In the moment that the officers and I had to come see the children, my biggest reaction was, I don't have 7 arms. I have 7 children who just lost their father, and I don't have 7 arms to wrap around them.
I'm Frank Silla, chairman of the Stephen Silla Tunnel to Towers Foundation. Our foundation is committed to delivering mortgage-free homes for Gold Star families and fallen first responder families.
To not have to worry financially is a huge peace of mind. The thought of, what in the world will I possibly do to pay the bills? How will I possibly let the children have a life that feels normal? I don't want them to have to quit their piano lessons or their basketball. I don't want them to feel that we have to move into a little apartment and struggle financially in addition to the emotional weight.
There are over 1,000 families that need our help. Tunnel to Towers is honoring those heroes that risked their lives by providing them with mortgage-free homes.
Those who serve us and then lay down their lives protecting our freedoms and our safety, the least we can do is $11 a month to give them that peace of always knowing there's a home, there's that sanctuary when life feels like it's been tipped upside down, because it has, when you lose a parent in the line of duty, to know you can go home, you can be safe, there's no risk of losing your home. That's a peace of mind that I can't believe you can get for $11 a month.
I'd like to ask you to contribute $11 a month to support their efforts.
Please donate $11 a month by calling 1-844-BRAVEST or visit tunneltotowers.org.
Independence. With that declaration, America was born. Inspired by a belief in the God-given rights of every human being. That among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Our government was established to secure these rights and for the good that comes from exercising them well. This is why the founders of our great nation chose independence. As do we. Hillsdale College accepts no government funding because independence makes possible the good to which we aspire. Hillsdale College, pursuing truth and defending liberty since 1844.
Ready to learn some medieval combat, kiddo?
You bet, Dad. Let's do this.
You know, spending quality time with your kids is important, but finding a fun and safe way to do it can really be a challenge. That's where halberds come in. Halberds are the perfect way to bond with your kid while teaching them about history and physical fitness. Plus, they're a blast to play with. So next time you're looking for some family fun activity, grab a halberd and get ready to make some memories.
Come on, Dad. Round 2.
Halberds, bringing families together one medieval battle at a time. This commercial brought to you by the KLRNradio.com Ad Council.
Hi, everyone. This is JJ, the co-founder of Good Pods. If you haven't heard of it yet, Good Pods is like Goodreads or Instagram, but for podcasts. It's new, it's social, it's different, and it's growing really fast.
Hi, JJ.
There are more than 2 million podcasts, and we know that it is impossible to figure out what to listen to. On Good Pods, you follow your friends and podcasters to see what they like. That is the #1 way to discover new shows and episodes. You can find Good Pods on the web or download the app. Happy listening.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
It starts with one thing. I don't know why. It doesn't even matter how hard you try. Keep that in mind. I designed this rhyme to explain in due time.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Guess what day it is? Huh? Anybody?
It is Wednesday, my dudes.
Otherwise known as Chat Lives Matter Day, right here live on KLRNradio.com. Don't forget to come back later tonight for Chat Lives Matter Chatter Night, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern, with what would normally be a bonus off the rails, but since I didn't do one on Monday, it's just a normal one. And then after that, we have Toxic Masculinity, followed by whatever, followed by Rick and Morty, followed by The Edge of Liberty, followed by Behind Enemy Lines, followed by BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. So yeah, I'll be working till about 2 in the morning again because I'm insane. Hi, my name's Rick Robinson. I'm a workaholic. My last meeting was forever ago. How about y'all? How y'all doing? Anyway, so we're here, we're live, and there's still so much to talk about. I don't even know if we're going to find time to be able to get through all of it. But because this does actually touch on one of the things that I wanted to address today, we're going to let my good friend Gene do it instead. So we're going to go over to Buffoon of the Week here in just a moment once I finish pressing all the different buttons here and making it all work. So one moment, please. Where's the kaboom? There was supposed to be a loud, earth-shattering kaboom.
The details that have come out, like the $59 million spent on luxury hotels, it's actually not.
You're talking about the FEMA money that was abused for migrants? That was FEMA money for migrants? That's okay now?
No, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying it's okay. Don't put words in my mouth.
So would you stop that? Would you stop that process?
Don't be a dick.
Ain't nothing changed, nothing new here to see. This ain't nothing but some political maneuvering. America. Welcome to the eulogy. Eat it up. It's called political buffoonery.
Hey there, everybody, and welcome to This Week in Dumbmocracy, where we showcase some of the dumbest newsmakers of the week. This first month of this second Trump presidency has really been a lesson in the power of political disruption. We've seen Trump and his special federal employee, Elon Musk, slashing and burning different sectors and agencies and departments of the federal government, looking for not only efficiency, but to root out corruption and partisanship that were remnants of not only the Biden administration, but also past administrations as well. Democrats, in response to this, as we've detailed on this channel, have been losing their minds with emotional outbursts and reactions. We've seen this over and over again, whether it be the video we released on Monday with Maxine Waters outside the Department of Education, which, by the way, you can check out by clicking the link in the upper right-hand corner of the screen right now. There it is. You can click on that at your leisure. Or you can also check out the discussion we had on last week's live show, Behind Enemy Lines, which, by the way, will be airing tonight, Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on this channel. It's our weekly review of the news that was. Check us out, Behind Enemy Lines. Me and Ross Galloway will be here waiting for you to have a little bit of fun and to see what's going on in the world of news this week. But back to this video. While we've seen the reactions from Democrats and their emotional outburst in response to Musk and Trump and Doge, we have yet to see media outbursts and the media lose their cool, although they've mocked and derided different things. Certainly some nicknames from some of Elon Musk's associates. The name Big Balls comes to mind for me.
Take a deep breath for just a moment and ponder big balls.
Big balls.
Big balls. Big balls who work for Elon Musk's so-called Department of Government Efficiency, Doge.
In the one case of the Big Balls kid, a literal teenager.
Big balls online. Big balls here that Katie's talking about. A 19-year-old that goes by the username Big Balls. So that would be one way that we could refer to him.
Because who among us doesn't feel better about big balls, big balls, big balls?
It's got huge balls. Big fucking huge balls.
But in this video, we're going to look at a panel discussion involving former New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu and CNN's Anderson Cooper, where Cooper lost his cool and lashed out at Sununu. We're going to watch this exchange and see how this furthers our discussion of the power of political disruption. But before we get to all that, I'm going to ask you guys to please subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any other shows. And if you like what you see in this or any other video on the channel, smash that thumbs up button. Like, comment, share the show with your friends, all that really good stuff, because all that's going to help this channel grow via the YouTube algorithm.
Yes, it must feed.
As always, gang, thank you so much for all that you do to help grow the channel. You know I appreciate all of your efforts, whether you're watching on YouTube, on Rumble, on X, or on Instagram and Facebook, where you guys have been sharing the crap out of stuff we've been putting up there. Thank you so much for all that. You know I appreciate all of those efforts. And for all you newbies out there on any platform whatsoever, I hope this video earns your subscription as we talk about this CNN panel where Anderson Cooper lost his cool during a discussion with former New Hampshire Governor Chris Sununu, talking about a joint press conference on Tuesday with Elon Musk and President Donald Trump, discussing Doge and their efforts to rein in out-of-control spending in government.
Musk gave 7 specific examples off the top of his head of where the corruption and fraud were. I know you didn't play the clips. He was talking about a contractor that had a 3-month contract. He was paid for 20 years. He was talking about welfare benefits that were being paid to someone that was technically 150 years old. He was talking about line items in the Treasury that had no justification.
There's no any he doesn't present any actual evidence.
Well, he's standing there in the Oval Office. Do you expect him to come in with 10,000 pages?
And there's a great example of the scrutiny that Democrats will do to a person like Donald Trump that they didn't do under the Biden administration, under the Obama administration. The benefit of the doubt is always against Republicans, and especially against Donald Trump. The administration is less than a month old, yet Anderson Cooper is looking for chapter and verse on everything and anything that Musk and Doge and Trump have found that is wasteful, inefficient, partisan, or corrupt in the federal government. That's kind of an unreasonable demand, isn't it? Do you expect them to have everything laid out in black and white, all calculations done, checked, rechecked, triple checked, so that they can present the entirety of their work? Or should Trump and Musk be given credit and the benefit of the doubt when they are being so transparent in their statements from the Oval Office? And yet, Anderson Cooper wants you to think that the lack of verification on this information calls into question the information itself. I don't think that's a fair standard. I don't remember that standard being placed upon Joe Biden or Barack Obama. I think they were all given the benefit of the doubt. Why isn't that happening here? Well, we know that Trump has this adversarial relationship with the media and certainly with Democrats, and any aspersion they can cast on him and Musk and Doge, well, they're going to do that in a way to cast doubt on what they say.
That was a dirty, low-down trick.
And I have to be clear, to complain about this administration about transparency, when this president takes open questions on a daily basis, yet Joe Biden didn't show up for a press conference this 6 months, is insane. Well, these guys are being extremely transparent. They don't have to sit there and take the questions, but they do. It's all on the website. It's all out there.
It's not transparency.
to say things that have no factual background. I mean, to say we're cutting, we've found $1 billion or $1 trillion in waste with no specifics, that's just talk. That's
Enter Jeffrey Toobin, inserting himself into the conversation. Yeah, I got that double entendre too, considering Jeffrey Toobin was once fired by CNN for what's become known as Toobining himself during a call with his fellow colleagues, I think was on Zoom or something, and he got caught red-handed. Let's just say it that way.
Jeffrey Toobin was fired by the New Yorker magazine and went on leave from CNN for performing a sex act during a Zoom meeting with colleagues.
End of flashback.
He's here on CNN again saying that it's just all talk from Musk and Trump. Notwithstanding that it hasn't been completely vetted out and you don't have a giant report yet. It's clear that when statements of this gravity are being made by Musk, by Trump, in the Oval Office, in front of reporters, on the record, you gotta think there's some basis to it, don't you? Let's make this the topic of the day for discussion here in the comments. Do you think that Trump and Musk would just be popping off at the mouth about all of these specific examples of waste and inefficiency and corruption in our federal budget if they couldn't back it up? Let me know what you think in the comments about that.
not transparency.
It's 23 days in here, guys. 23 days. You're talking about 2.3 billion that was saved last year. These guys are saving 2.3 billion a day.
Right, but
it's incredible.
That's what they're saying. But where's the proof?
You're waiting. You're not going to be satisfied till he shows up with 10,000 pages.
But he's talking about 10,000 pages.
Yeah.
He's giving very specific things,
yes, he's giving
but he's not actually giving any evidence of that.
It's all going to come because what they also said was, if we have to go to Congress, we'll go to Congress.
Right,
and that's a great point by Sununu. Trump and Musk and Doge, they know that their bully tactics here and their bully pulpit is only going to get them so far. As we know already, there have been court actions and temporary stays and injunctions from further action in the Department of Treasury with USAID and other aspects of the government that have been inspected already that have paused those inspections. In fact, don't you think it's disingenuous by Anderson Cooper and Mr. Toobin over here to say that there's no concrete evidence there when courts have stopped dead in its tracks the actions of Trump, Musk, and Doge? Kind of a disingenuous argument, in my opinion, knowing that the department can't continue to do the work of proving their case, yet they're demanding proof of their case. And again, as Sununu said, this is 23 days in, folks. The standards here are completely unreasonable. But luckily for Trump and Musk and Doge, they have the momentum of public opinion on their side. Trump has never been so popular in the polls at this point. Democrats have never been so unpopular. So when you find these revelations coming out from Elon Musk and from Doge about all kinds of crazy things like Moroccan pottery and transgender comics in Peru and transgender musicals in Ireland and all the crazy cuckoo banana stuff we've been hearing that the government has been funding, and I'll use the word allegedly, just to satisfy the supporters of Cooper and Toobin, you got to scratch your head and say, what the hell's going on? It at least piques the interest of the American people when they hear these outrageous claims. And again, for people of this level in our government and in society to make such claims that are outrageous, you got to think they wouldn't be making it if it wasn't backed up by some foundational evidence.
Why would anyone make up a story like that?
We'll show where it is.
Some of the details that have come out, like the $59 million spent on luxury hotels, it's actually not.
You're talking about the FEMA money that was abused for migrants? That was FEMA money for migrants? That's okay now?
No, I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying it's okay. Don't put words in my mouth.
So would you stop that? Would you stop that process?
Don't be a dick. What I'm saying is the portrayal by him is just not factually accurate. He's talking about luxury hotels. I'm not as big. Look, I was in Hurricane Katrina.
Until he sends you a
I
personal
saw what
text,
FEMA
you're
does.
not going to believe it. I get it.
Okay, so that's the moment that was the money shot for you guys, right? Where Anderson Cooper says to Chris Sununu, "Don't be a Richard," And kind of uncalled for there, I think, because Sununu hasn't backed in the corner. But I want to focus more, not just on the insult, because, I mean, things get heated. And, of course, we've seen this in Democrat circles thus far with Schumer, with Maxine Waters, with Mark Takano, and so many other Democrats in politics going up to these departments and banging on doors demanding to be let in. We've seen these emotional outbursts or the lack of control of emotion from these people on the left. But I also want to focus on what Anderson Cooper said, that the information coming from Trump, Musk, and Doge is not verified. And again, it's that catch-22. Of course it's not verified. Their work is not only incomplete at this point, but it's been stopped by the courts. So what does Anderson Cooper want? Does he want chapter and verse? If he wants chapter and verse, then let Musk and Doge do their work and come back with a report, right? If he doesn't want that, then he's just taking political potshots here at people who are doing their best to give information in real time of what they're finding. Musk and Trump are damned if they do and damned if they don't in Anderson Cooper's eyes here.
Y'all can't have it both ways, man.
Anderson Cooper gets half credit for apologizing, being a gentleman.
Before we go, I want to apologize. I was mean. I was rude to you, and I never.
Are you kidding? I grew up with 7 brothers and sisters, and I'm a Sununu.
I invited
I'm
you
a
here,
former
and
governor.
I like
you want to know what I'm
here.
normally called? It's one of the nicest things I've been called all week. It's great.
No, but that I apologize.
No,
it's not. It's I don't know why I said that. I really do. I feel
We're
bad
all
about
friends
it.
here.
No, I mean I like that.
Keeps
you
it
were here.
spicy. Keeps it hot. It's post 8 o'clock. Have some fun on CNN.
I don't want to do that.
That's all well and good. But the story here is the uncharacteristic lack of control on display by Anderson Cooper, resulting in this emotional outburst. And when we come back from the break, we're going to talk more about the roots of these emotional outbursts from Democrats and those in the media alike. And it's all about political disruption. Like what you see so far? Go ahead and smash that thumbs up button. Also, leave us a comment and tell us what you're thinking. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another show. I don't want to belabor the point, but let's talk about the power of political disruption. Why do Democrats and those in the media like Anderson Cooper view Elon Musk and Donald Trump as threats to democracy, as we heard throughout the 2024 election cycle? Well, it's because that Musk and Trump are disrupting the status quo of Washington politics. The left, the media, they thrive within Washington's swamp, the political machinery that makes the whole town go round. Manipulating the levers of power that they cling so deeply to, as evidenced by the past year we saw in the election cycle, all the lawfare, and we're seeing that continue now as Trump and Musk try to take a machete to the bureaucracy. Trump beat back the left's lawfare in 2024, just like Musk removed the left's ability to control political narratives throughout his management of X. So they're known to be disruptors of the status quo and the left doing business. It's extremely difficult to be a political disruptor like Trump and Musk. Only those with the means and the will can pull it off in the face of such a monolithic political machine like the Democrats, or the similar monolith that is the mainstream media. Trump and Musk are disrupting the left's carefully curated monopoly on bureaucratic control through these audits and examinations and investigations of USAID or CFPS. You guys should look up what that is, or the Department of Education. The left is especially terrified that an outsider like Musk or Trump, even though he's been in government, he's still considered an outsider, but they're terrified of these outsiders who wield the formidable combination of near unlimited wealth and the full blessing of the current administration from Trump, and that this blessing and this access will expose the left's games that have been played in the past. The things that you heard Chris Sununu talking about in the video. The 150-year-old who's still on the books, the guy whose contract expired, but he's still getting paid decades after. The left can't control either Musk or Trump, and that's driving them crazy. That's why they're going back to old tactics like calling Trump a lunatic. These disruptors, Trump and Musk, they're being effective. And no number of cringeworthy chants, media spin, or emotional outbursts is going to stop them from going forward.
It's a new fucking day.
But that's just my opinion on all this stuff. I want to know what you guys think. Let's get into the comments together. And as always, like and share this video with your friends. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss any other shows. Do you think that Trump and Musk's political disruption is going to result in real change in the federal government? Or is this just another political dog and pony show that is going to result in no changes whatsoever? Let's discuss that together when looking at this video and all the other shenanigans and buffoonery happening every day this week in Dumb Democracy. Hope to see you guys all tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Time for Behind Enemy Lines.
All views and opinions expressed here are not necessarily of the mainstream media and may offend some listeners. It's called political buffoonery.
All right, or you can come out and you can hang out with us on whatever first and then stay up late and watch a replay of that one. Because we run a show in the same time slot now, which is why I have to work even later than I used to. Anyway, so we're going to take a quick break. Got one more segment on the other side. My name is Rick Robinson. This is my show. This is the Chat Lives Matter Day edition of the Rick Robinson Show right here live on klrmradio.com. Just as a recap, we do this thing every Tuesday through Friday between the hours of noon to 3 Eastern. I had considered going a little long because it was a snow day for Gracie, so I don't have to run off. But I remembered that I'd been running board since like 8:30 this morning, and I have to be back at like 6 my time anyway. So, yeah, I don't think we're staying long. You guys get me I'm involved in every show tonight. So you've got me for an hour by myself. You've got me and a crew for Toxic. You've got me and Stacy for whatever. You've got me and Orty. So, yeah, that's another 4 hours of me, not counting the almost 3 that I've done right now. So I think that's enough. And yes, again, my name is Rick Robinson. I'm a workaholic. My last meeting was forever ago. We'll be back after these commercial messages right here live on KLRMradio.com.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Celebrity designer Jeff Lewis is back with Hollywood House Lift.
I'm excited to be working with new clients.
I'm not getting rid of that.
I hope I never see you both again.
Yeah. An all-new
We feel
season.
the same
Those
way.
have to go. That has to go.
From oh, wow,
It's been an actual nightmare.
to oh, wow.
This is such an upgrade.
With celebrities like Josh Duhamel, Christina Ricci, and Gina Rodriguez. Dazzle me, Jeff.
It looks like Chuck E. Cheese.
Stream an all-new season of Hollywood House Lift with Jeff Lewis, now streaming on Freevee.
I'm Jordan Klinger, an attorney at McIntyre Law. The decision to hire an attorney after you've been injured is important. The decision on who to hire is even more important. At McIntyre Law, we will settle a case if the offer to our client is fair. Partial justice is no justice at all. At McIntyre Law, we are committed to obtaining full justice for our clients. Contact McIntyre Law at 405-917-5200 or visit us at mcintyrelaw.com.
This is Derek's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
After the third time jump-starting my car, I finally realized my battery was dying. So I stopped by O'Reilly to have it checked. They tested it right there in the parking lot. It was bad, real bad. But they helped me find the right battery for my car and even installed it for free. Now my car starts like new.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. you'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Music mattered, but does it bollocks? Not compared to how people matter.
We'll be singing when we're winning. We'll be singing. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down.
I almost feel like occasionally that should be played as Trump's walkout music instead of just Hail to the Chief, because with everything the Democrats have thrown to him, dude is still here, dude is still kicking ass, dude is still taking names. Again, he has, while we have been doing this very show, already been on the phone with both Putin and Zelensky, has already arranged the release of another U.S. hostage, has put an ultimatum in place for the idiots in Gaza. You either let them go or Saturday at noon all hell breaks loose. And if you haven't seen it yet, there's a Defense Department video that is absolutely awesome to that effect. Very strong messaging about what's going to happen if they don't comply. But since we don't have that much time left, and I'm sure you guys have already heard about that, we're going to talk about something else, because there's a couple things that I didn't really notice during, well, one was during the hearing today. So a couple points there. This one first. And I don't know if that's part of the smaller clip that I've already found or not. So we're going to start here. But this is one of the scenes during the Doge hearing where I felt like Miss Crockett needed some Thorazine. So here we go.
As Mr. Whitson said, he said, we need to return the power of the purse to Congress. It never left. According to the Constitution, that's where it's at. Now, I know that people are confused right now because for whatever reason, we had a guy that went in, and you talk about people invading our data. Listen, people said that they were upset about TikTok, but I'm upset about the guy that runs Twitter, who for sure is doing nefarious things, because I don't understand, if you are trying to conduct audits and figure out where the waste, fraud, and abuse is, I don't know why you would go to some tech guy. In fact, it was only techies that were sitting there at inauguration. We didn't have auditors. I would welcome auditors to come in and do forensic audits. In fact, he sat there in the Oval Office yesterday and he admitted that he was lying, and he was using his propaganda machine to do it when he said that we sent millions of dollars to Gaza for condoms. That was a lie. So let me tell you something.
The gentlelady's time has expired.
It's time for
the
us
gentlelady's
to do our
time has
jobs
expired.
and rein in this rogue actor known
The gentlelady's time has expired.
I would like to point out that I'm pretty sure her time expired like 2 minutes before this tirade ever started. That was one of the longest segments of the entire hearing. But I would also like to point out that while he was wrong about the place where the condoms were going, He was not wrong about the amount of money that was spent on said condoms. So I would like to point that out as well. Now, there's another part of this that I feel like we need to talk about. Hang on. Because this is something that would have gotten, other Congress critters thrown out of committee not too long ago. Just check this out. Hang on. Dang it. I hate it when it does that. My transition was all fancy, but it didn't take. I hate it when it does that. Fine, give me a second. I don't think it's playing the audio for you guys because I can't see it. Although they have been doing some pretty amazing things with a lot of this. I think it's this one. I think. Yep. Okay. I think. I think. Find out if it's going to work.
I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is that the Republicans believe our job is, because right now they have relinquished their constitutional duties over to an unelected bureaucrat, someone who no one went out to vote for. And absolutely, he is occupying the Oval Office, as we saw yesterday. And that is a first for me, to see someone occupying the Oval Office who's never actually been elected to the Oval Office, and actually answering more questions than the person that allegedly got elected. But for whatever reason, this is the first time we're having a elected. But for whatever reason, this is the first time we're having actually answering more questions than the person that allegedly got elected.
Allegedly got elected. Now, I seem to remember when we had questions about the validity of the election, we were traitors. And there was a hell of a lot more even anecdotal evidence that there was something really shady going on with 2020 than there ever was with 2024. I'm just saying. The left's new narrative now, and I see it everywhere, is that somehow Elon Musk hacked the election and gave Donald Trump all of the swing states. Okay, I'm pretty sure if they were going to do it through a hack, they would have made sure that he didn't win all of the swing states. I'm just saying. Elon Musk is smarter than that, guys. But this is part of what we're dealing with right now. These people have absolutely lost their minds. They don't know what to do. They are flailing. You're watching their media become more and more frustrated, to the point where even the more supposedly polished and professional media are using language that they would have never used before, which we've kind of talked about that already. Then we've got this. So this is from Matt Vespa from Town Hall again. So you've heard all of the talking points from the left about this, Elon Musk, giving an address from the Oval Office and how he looked more like the president than the president and should have never been wearing a MAGA hat, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. No proof, no receipts. So an independent reporter actually kind of brought some receipts and kind of shredded the New York Times with their anti-Elon nonsense. So this is a direct quote from the article. The liberal media is truly giving itself fits over Elon Musk and his new position within the Trump administration, which is to helm the Department of Government Efficiency, which is uprooting the waste and fraud that's infested Washington, D.C. Liberals have slowly replaced Trump derangement syndrome with Musk madness. I prefer ED. Just saying. There's pills for that. Just saying. Since the 2024 election, ironically, Musk was recently an Andrew Yang Democrat. So this is from Imajo Morris. The $50 million worth of condoms were being sent to Mozambique, not Gaza. So everyone calm down, okay? $50 million is a lot for condoms. Why? I don't care where they're going. Doge has shut down USAID and is combing through every crack and crevice looking for government waste, which it has done by using AI to analyze the expenditures of these agencies rapidly. The left is mad because all their slush fund vehicles are being pinched off. At the Oval Office yesterday, Elon Musk, his son, and Donald Trump took questions from the media as the president signed an order enhancing compliance between government agencies and Doge. And the New York Times had a predictable headline for the occasion. Musk asserts without proof that he's fixing a bureaucracy rife with fraud. And this is a quote from that article. The billionaire Elon Musk said in an extraordinary Oval Office appearance on Tuesday that he was providing maximum transparency in his government cost-cutting initiatives, but offered no evidence for his sweeping claims that the federal bureaucracy had been corrupted by cheats and officials who had approved money for fraudsters. Answering questions from the media for the first time since his arrival in Washington to run the so-called Department of Government Efficiency. Gotta love the so-called. Mr. Musk stood next to the Resolute desk and asserted that his work was in the interest of the public and democracy. President Trump sat behind the desk, chiming in with approval as he let the world's richest man expound for roughly 30 minutes on the rationale for the drastic overhaul of federal bureaucracy. The goal is to restore democracy, Mr. Musk said. If the bureaucracy is in charge, then what meaning does democracy actually have? Among Mr. Musk's claims, which he offered without providing evidence, was that some officials are at the now gutted U.S. Agency for International Development had been taking kickbacks. He said that quite a few people in the bureaucracy somehow had managed to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position without explaining how he had made that assessment. He later claimed that some recipients of Social Security checks were as old as 150 years old. We are actually trying to be as transparent as possible, Mr. Musk said, referring to postings by his team on the social media site X, so all of our actions are maximally transparent. He continued, I don't know of a case where an organization has been more transparent than the Doge organization. In reality, Mr. Musk's team is operating in deep secrecy, surprising federal employees by descending upon agencies and gaining access to sensitive data systems. Mr. Musk himself is a special government employee, which the White House has said means his financial disclosure filings will not be made public. Again, you people don't get to hurl without evidence line ever again on anything concerning Trump. For years, you peddled Russian collusion nonsense with zero evidence, said Hunter Biden's laptop was Russian disinformation, said Biden wouldn't drop out, and said COVID wasn't a lab leak. The list goes on. All of these points made by the liberal media without any evidence, despite conservatives and alternate information ecosystems knowing otherwise. Oh, and we had the evidence on this Doge story. So does the New York Times, which makes the asserts without proof line about waste, fraud, and abuse even more embarrassing. The independent reporter Michael Schellenberger went through the publication's clips and got ready to be embarrassed. That's a weird. And got ready to be embarrassed. New York Times, the Government Accountability Office, found the government lost $233 to $521 billion to fraud last year. You had reported on these stories multiple times, and to the shock of no one, all these stories were dated during the first Trump presidency. So this is actually some of the postings real quick. The New York Times says Musk asserts without proof that bureaucracy is rife with fraud. Seriously, the GAO under Biden estimated last year that we are losing between $233 to $521 billion per year to fraud. Guys, it's right there. Why do you continue with this fraud? The problem for the Times and the rest of the Democratic Party is that they aren't able to object to any of the things Trump is cutting, and so they demonize Musk, which is how they pleasure their audience anyway. So it's twofer. The reporter can't decide whether to be mad that it took so long, 23 days, from us to attend a press conference, or that he spoke for so long, 30 minutes. This is what's known as crazy making, typical cluster B behavior. It's Musk derangement syndrome, and we need to add it to the DSM. Answering questions from the media for the first time since his arrival in Washington to run the so-called Department of Government Efficiency, and that's when they kind of go through the spiel that we ran a second ago. No area of the mass news media is without fraud. Americans' trust in mass media from 1972 to 2024. In general, how much trust and confidence do you have in the mass media, such as newspapers, TV, and radio? When it comes to reporting the news fully, accurately, and fairly, a great deal, a fair amount, not very much, or none at all. According to this, it's below 50%. Just saying. If Trump hadn't made cutting waste, fraud, and abuse such a high priority, you can be damn well sure the Times will be scolding him for allowing so much waste, fraud, and abuse. And every single journalist at the time knows it. And here's a bunch of headlines from the New York Times. All throughout the previous administration, talking about the Pentagon losing money. How bad was virus aid fraud? The cash monster was insatiable. The problem for the Times and the rest of the Democratic Party is that they aren't able to object to any of the things Trump is cutting, and so they demonize Musk, which is how they pleasure their audience anyway, so it's a twofer, according to Mr. Schellenberger. And that's where the article ends, but I would like to point out yet again that these people have nowhere to go. Nowhere. They have backed themselves into a corner, and now everything is about either Trump or Musk. They can't even fight about the policies. I mean, it's like we're watching the Democrats' downfall right in real time. And according to Chris Queen, that's exactly what's going on. This is from Dateline Today from PJ Media. At the end of last month, the Democratic National Committee held its leadership election. We've covered it in bits and pieces here at PJ Media. My friend and colleague Matt Margolis wrote about how every candidate for DNC chair agreed that racism and misogyny were factors in Kamala Harris's defeat. MSDNC's Jonathan Capehart, who co-facilitated the forum, expressed his approval. Another friend and colleague, Robert Spencer, pointed out that the new DNC chair, Ken Martin, is on record saying that he wants to try Donald Trump for treason. Yeah, you heard me right. I said treason. Robert also noted that the Democrats chose wormy, mouthy beta male David Hogg as vice chair. That choice alone should demonstrate how unserious the party currently is. The Democrats' commitment to identity politics made the DNC selection process a Byzantine mess. Jonathan Chait explained this in an article he aptly titled "The Democrats Show Why They Lost." To ensure our process accounts for male, female, and non-binary candidates, we conferred with our Rules and Bylaws Committee co-chair, our LGBT caucus co-chair, and others to ensure that the process is inclusive and meets the gender balance requirements in our rules. Outgoing Chair Jamie Harrison announced to the attendees, feel free to make your own jokes about where Hogg fits into this gender spectrum. These things got even more comical when members of the audience spoke up and wanted to further complicate the selection process. The Wall Street Journal's Molly Ball reported that one attendee called for making sure those appointments reflect the gender and ethnic diversity of the transgender community. Only one candidate refused to commit to that as an entity because they've lost their mind. The Democrats are in bad shape, and no less of a Democrat than commentator and author Joe Klein has noticed. He wrote in a recent Substack column, "Yes, friends, still crazy after all these years, and the encroaching dementia is not benign. Can this party be saved? I have my doubts. The intellectual corrosion is comprehensive. It is only matched by the self-righteous arrogance, but what's the alternative? I've been through Dims in disarray syndrome multiple times in the past, in 1972, in 1980, in 1988, and again in 2016. But I gotta say, this is the worst I've ever seen it. There is a vast cluelessness abroad in the party, and its prevailing vision of an America based on identity now resides in the outhouse." Wow. That was a pretty brutal assessment, was it not? All right, so let's continue with the article. I've seen Klein lays the blame at the feet of the Biden administration, which he says resulted in left nuttiness below the radar throughout the government. Every so often, the nuttiness would surface, and with that chaos at the southern border, and Biden would do nothing about it. But don't get your hopes up. Klein is still a liberal, and he's a liberal. He has daggers for Donald Trump, and he still thinks there's hope under the leadership of Senator Chuck Schumer, no less, Democrat, New York, whom he claims has big-time courage. No, he's serious, y'all. He means it. Klein also offers advice riffing on Rui Texeria that the Democrats can get back in the game if they stop name-calling, go moderate on immigration, team up with Trump to abandon identity politics, and embrace energy abundance, whatever that means. Of course, today's Democrats aren't likely to take any of that advice. Dude, you're advising the party that keeps leaving everybody behind for doing what you're suggesting that they do what they've done, what everybody else is doing, like Tulsi Gabbard, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., and they've all been left behind. And the thing about it is, folks, that is an actual thing. I want to show you something real quick. And then we've got to get ready to get out of here, because I got to be back in a few hours. All right. So this is kind of a skit kind of thing that I found from the Rabbit Hole account that I think was from the Rabbit Hole, shared by Elon Musk, and I think was originally part of a TikTok based on the markings that I'm seeing here. But hang on. This kind of summarizes everything in a nutshell, because this is how I feel with all my liberal friends, and it also seems to be how a lot of my liberal friends are now treating me, because they don't seem to want to have anything to do with me anymore. Just saying. All right, but here we go, and then we're going to get ready to start wrapping up.
I'm leaving the Republican Party. Okay. May I ask why? I don't agree with the policies anymore, and I'm leaning left. Okay. Well, although we can agree to disagree, I really respect you as a friend. I've enjoyed our friendship, and if you ever want to talk about politics, we can, but we don't have to. Thanks. I appreciate that. Of course. I'm leaving the Democratic Party. Oh, so you're racist, homophobic, a bigot, and a sexist. What? No, I'm still me. It's just, I don't align with your values anymore, and I find myself leaning more conservative. I mean, I never thought I'd say that. Well, we can disagree on politics, but we can't disagree on human values and human rights. I'm still me, the person you've known since 3rd grade, and I really have enjoyed our friendship. Well, last time I checked, I wasn't friends with Nazis.
Well, last time I checked, I wasn't friends with Nazis. Dude, I have gone through this so many times in the last few years. And it's terrifying to think about, because it's people that have known you your entire lives and should know better. But they have become so wrapped up on identity politics and everything that the left espouses and spews that they can't see any other way out. Luckily, a lot of folks are starting to wake up. And that's the best news that I have for you for today. There are a lot of folks, if you look at the numbers, over 60% of Americans are seeing that Donald Trump is doing the things that they said that he said he was going to do when he was elected, and they approve of them. Over 70% of the American public actually agrees that he's doing the things that he said he was going to do, even though some of them don't agree with those things. Those numbers are amazing. Again, remember, Donald Trump, as of right now, in a lot of the polling spots that we're seeing, has a 53% approval rating. That is the highest rating he's ever had. And I'm going to be honest, part of what you do when you have this kind of an approval rating is you spend your political capital to get your agenda done. And that's why he's pushing so hard to do these things. Because again, as we talked about yesterday, he's got a year. He's got a year to get as much done as he can get done. Because in about a year, all the moderate Republicans are going to peel off because they think they have to. Because they're going to start fighting to hang on to their seats. The problem that I would like to point out to my moderate Republican friends is I'm not sure the Republican Party supports you anymore. We're tired of the moderateness. We're tired of the squishiness. And it's not because we don't want to be in the center. It's because things have gone so far to the left that we have no choice but to push as hard as we can to the right to steer things back to the center. That's how bad everything has gotten. And we keep seeing this play out over and over and over again. And just as a reminder, there have been brief times where Republicans have been in charge and they have tried to make drastic changes, and their own party usually stops them in one point or another. That needs to change, especially with everything that, whether the media wants to believe it or not, we're uncovering as far as the waste, fraud, and abuse. I would like to point out that USAID is about 2% of our overall budget, and they're finding like 95% fraud. Even Democrats are saying, well, 5% of USAID is good. And I say to that, we can probably do the 5% using other agencies and just disband USAID altogether. Now, one of the other things that I would like to point out, and this was from Rep. Kazar today, I don't know if I'm saying his name right. He was pointing out all the different inspector generals that were going after Elon Musk as if it were a good thing. Pointing out how hard Joe Biden and his administration were going after not only Donald Trump, but his allies isn't the win that you think it is, my guy. This is exactly why we want these people fired. Everything has been politicized past the point of no return. And that is just the truth of it. And if that's too hard for you to understand, if that's too hard for you to see, then you might need to go home because we're not doing this with you anymore. You're either going to help us clean up this mess or you're going to get out of the way. I don't care what the letter is behind your name. I don't care about any of that. I don't care what your skin color is, sexual orientation, any of the above. You're either going to help us clean up this mess, strengthen this country, build it back to what our founding fathers intended it to be, or you're going to get run over if you don't get out of the way because none of us care anymore. You have made us not care. You guys created all of this. This whole we don't care anymore, this whole we'll just talk smack right to your face thing anymore, the whole we're going to go along with everything Trump says just because it makes you shriek like little girls. You made this, not us. We fought Marquis of Queensberry rules for decades when you guys were fighting like it was a backroom brawl. And we got tired of getting our asses handed to us. So we put somebody in that fights like y'all, and now y'all don't know what to do. That is not my problem. Mutually assured destruction. Sorry, I remember how to talk in a minute. Mutually assured destruction is an actual thing again. So to my leftist friends who may still have an iota of common sense, get in line or get out of the way. Nobody should have the type of unbridled access and power that USAID has created. And I would like to quote a former director of the CIA. If anything's too dirty for the CIA, just send it to USAID. That is an exact quote from a former director of the Central Intelligence Agency. Which is another reason why everybody's freaking out. Because there have been slush funds for forever. And I guarantee you, USAID is one, but it's not the only one. And that's another reason why they're all freaking out. All right, well, folks, believe it or not, we are just about out of time. Quick reminder, I'll be back tonight starting at 7 p.m. Eastern for America Off the Rails, followed by Toxic Masculinity, our once-a-month foray into everything the modern media hates about being a dude, with my friends, the conservative curmudgeon, Ordnance J. Packard, Andrew, our pool dude, Aggie, our bar babe, and we may or may not have a babe this evening. It looks like the one that we had scheduled has the flu, so we'll have to see if we can get her back next month. And after that, we have whatever with myself and Stacey Lennox. Closing act for KLRM Radio's live programming will be The Rick and Morty Show, 10 p.m. Eastern. After that, we go over to SHR Media's The Edge of Liberty with Sean Lewis, who didn't do a show Monday night, but is supposed to be back tonight. If I find anything out different, I will let you know. Then we'll be running BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon, the show that actually ran on Tuesday. We'll be running, actually, I forgot, Behind the Enemy Lines first, and then that one. And we'll be running the one that actually ran last night. Tomorrow night, we'll be running them live. And then Friday night, I don't know. I keep forgetting that Friday night is Valentine's Day. So I don't know. I may actually have a date. Shh. Don't tell anybody. Anyway, we got to get out of here. So that's it. This one's over. Enjoy the rest of your day.
What? Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no!
Closing time. Open all the doors and let you out into the woods.
This isn't over until I say it's over!
Closing time.
Well, that's great. That's just fucking great, man. Now what the fuck are we supposed to do? Game over, man. Game over.
Closing time. Time for you to go out to the places you will be from. closing time. This room won't be open till your brothers or your sisters come.
I love you, Oklahoma. What a great crowd. I love you.
Say goodnight, Gracie.